from a low life, but now people call me the king. Tearing it up with every lyric that I bring to the table. Because I'm willing and able, I'm in more homes than Comcast cable. I got the skill that'll rattle your brain. I'm a threat like Saddam Hussein, everybody know my name. Joe Habib's a top soldier, kid, they should have told you, you really need to pack a lunch. My words hit hard just like a Tyson punch, so give me a chance, I bet you I can make you dance. Show me your girl, I bet you I get in her pants. I'm breaking egos and money is what I'm stacking. Joe Habib on the mic, you know I'm down for action. Shout out to Make Beats Sir and the Beat Smith and the whole Rope-A-Dope radio crew. Yeah. All right, good morning, everybody. What's going on? So, we've been talking about this for the last couple weeks, right? The whole Fury versus Ngannou, the whole Fury versus Usyk, the whole Fury versus Joshua, this big love triangle, if you will, between all these fighters, right? And everyone has their own theories about what they believe is going to happen. And everyone has their own theories on why what's happening is happening right now, right? But we just have to look at what's in front of us, right? We have to look at the empirical data, right? And if anyone has played chess, right, and you have people that you play chess with often, right? Everyone has their own style. You know, they typically have their own opening, they have their own closing, they have their own end game, so to speak, right? So when you're playing chess, you have your own type of patterns that you like to use when you're playing the game. But when you play with better players, right, as the game starts to get deep in, right, when you're in that middle area, then you have to start making adjustments, right? So as your opponent's pieces move, you have to either counteract that, or you have to adapt on how you move your pieces as well. So this has been a game of chess, and the pieces have been constantly moving, right? Whereas we thought the game was going to go one way, but because of what's been going on, right? Because of the series of events, the pieces have been moved around in a different way, more so than we expected. And that's where we are right now. That's where we are right now, where the pieces have moved, the game has changed, and the original attack pattern that the chess player had, he had to adapt that based on his opponent's moves, right? So let's get right into this, right? We're going to be objective here. Everything is going to be as close to objective fact, right, as we can, right? It's going to be as close to objective fact as we can. This is not about what I want, and it should not be about what you want. It should not be about what we want, right? We're gonna look at the reality of the situation, right? We're gonna look at the reality of the situation. Okay, so we know now, according to Eddie Hearn, according to Frank Smith, that right now, the people they were talking to, which is Skills Challenge, is head by Prince Khalid, right? In Saudi Arabia, we now know that they have stepped away, and now they're no longer talking to Skills Challenge. And apparently, that fight right now between Joshua and Wilder seems to be off the table. Now, Eddie Hearn is saying, well, if we do want that fight to happen moving forward, we're going to have to deal with the Ministry of Sport, which is the same agency that is handling this Fury versus Ngannou fight, right? And the executive of the Ministry of Sport in Saudi Arabia is Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Assad, right? And the Ministry of Sport was formed in 1974, which is 49 years ago, and it's run by the government of Saudi Arabia, right? So the government of Saudi Arabia is the Saudi council members. It's the cabinet of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's led by the Crown Prince, right? And cabinet members. The Crown Prince is also the prime minister and is the chairman of the Council of Ministers, right? So to sit there and say that the Crown Prince has not been involved in this decision, he's not involved in this at all, is utterly ridiculous. Okay? Utterly ridiculous. And to sit there like that idiot, Papoose 316 was trying to say that there's a struggle, there's this, there's that. No. A decision was made by the top, right? Doesn't get any higher in terms of entertainment and sports, right? For sports in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't get any higher than the Ministry of Sport, right? And once they get involved in something, then it's a big deal. No disrespect to Prince Khalid, no disrespect to Skills Challenge, but the Crown Prince decided this is the direction we're going to go in. This is what we want. We want to focus on Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou right now. And this is the direction we're going in. We think this is the bigger, better event. Right? It's that simple. My opinion, I like the Wilder versus Joshua fight 1,000 times better. Right? I like the Joshua versus Wilder fight 1,000 times better. I like the Fury versus Usyk fight 1,000 times better. Right? But it's not, this is not about what I want, what I like. This is about the reality of the situation. Okay, the Ministry of Sport has decided that this is the direction they want to go in, right? And to sit there and try to make the argument and frame the argument like that idiot Papoose was doing yesterday, oh, that there's a power struggle. How is there a fucking power struggle, dummy? The Crown Prince oversees the Ministry of Sport, right? He oversees the Ministry of Sport. He's the chairman of the Council of Ministers, right? He chooses the cabinet. And if you look at the history, anyone that's gone against the Crown Prince, this is a man who's thrown his own family members in jail who've tried to go against him. So to even suggest like that idiot did yesterday, and I'm going to call him out because he's a fucking idiot, that there's a power struggle and there's a disagreement within the Council of Ministers, right? Is utterly ridiculous because nobody goes against the Crown Prince in fear of being thrown in jail like others have been thrown in jail in the past that went against them. It's that fucking simple, right? So we have to have a good faith discussion here, right? We have to have a good faith discussion here. We gotta use objective fact here, right? We gotta use objective fact here. It's that simple. We gotta use objective fact here. We gotta take what we want, how we feel, what we think is best, what we would do. Means nothing. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Because whether we like it or not, Fury versus Ngannou is a big event, and a lot of people are talking shit about it. They hate it, and I'm not a big fan of it either. I'm saying right now that I'm not going to buy it, but the closer I said I wasn't going to buy Mayweather McGregor, but the closer the event gets, the more it gets promoted. Me being the loser, sucker that I am, there's a good chance that I'm going to end up buying this reluctantly and I'm going to be embarrassed about it the next day. It's like, you shouldn't eat that pint of ice cream at 12 o'clock at night. And you say to yourself, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to eat it. But the willpower starts to wane, right? And your discipline wanes and all the resistance that you're putting forth, it starts to weaken. And then you end up eating that pint of ice cream at 12 o'clock at night. And then what happens the next day? You feel guilty. So it is possible right now. Right now, I'm saying I don't want to buy it. But me being the weak, sick person that I am who's addicted to these events, the curiosity is going to end up getting the better of me. And I'm probably going to buy it anyways. And guess what? A lot of you are too. A lot of you are too. And a lot of MMA fans are going to buy this. Right? And even people like Tony Bellew, right? Kyle Froch, who openly said this is a farce. They said they're going to buy it, right? They said they're going to buy it. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. And it doesn't matter what I want, what I like. It's about what's going to happen. Dan, before I go to you, I just want to get one more point off and then I'm going to pass it to you because I know you always have a lot to say on this. And even though I disagree with you, I've always give you the floor and respect your opinion. Let me just say this. So this whole thing that's being put out there that, oh, well, there's still going to be this 4-man tournament between Joshua Wilder, Fury versus Usyk. To me, this was always a pipe dream because let's say if you were to do two events, if you were to do Fury versus Usyk and you were to do Joshua versus Wilder, right? And we're going to be conservative here, and anyone can correct me if they're wrong. This is my opinion. If Fury was to fight Usyk and they did a pay-per-view in the UK, in my opinion, it would do at least 1.5 pay-per-view buys, right? And probably in the US, maybe, if I'm being conservative, I would say 350,000, maybe 400,000, right? So that'd be like around 1.9 pay-per-view buys between the US and the UK. Wilder Joshua, you could argue that may even do 1.8 in the U. Well, I'd say about the same 1.5, and probably in the United States about the same 350, 400, right? So you got 1.9 plus 1.9, right? That's about 3.8, almost $4 million. Excuse me, not $4 million, 4 million pay-per-view buys. And if you do all the math, it'd be astronomical. So think about this. You put both those events together, right? And combine it into one event. You mean to tell me that that's going to do 4 million pay-per-view buys? That's going to be Pacquiao Mayweather-esque, right? So it makes no sense that you would take close to 2 million pay-per-view buys for both events. You combine them together, and at the very most, with those four fighters on one card, at the very most, I don't see it doing more than probably 2.5 million. Still not going to be 4 million that they would do separately in terms of pay-per-view buys. So from a business standpoint, that makes logistically no sense. And here's another thing. If Fury fought Joshua and he beat Joshua, right? The Wilder fight is still intriguing because you could still market it as Joshua versus Wilder. Both guys lost to Fury, right? So let's see how they do against each other. And say Joshua was to have a good fight with Fury better than Wilder did. Say maybe it goes the distance. He'll have a little bit of momentum going into that Wilder fight. But if Joshua was to fight Wilder and he was to get knocked out brutally, right? How do you sell the Fury fight with Joshua? So it just doesn't make much sense to do Wilder versus Joshua before you would do Joshua versus Fury, because I think Joshua versus Fury is the biggest fight lucratively in the heavyweight division. Just my opinion. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree. Eddie Hearn agrees. He's the one that said it. So this whole pipe dream of putting all four of them on the same night, it doesn't make business sense to do that, because you're not going to get 4 million pay-per-view buys, whereas you could get 4 million pay-per-view buys if you did the two events separately. 2 million on one, 2 million on the other. It just makes the most amount of sense, right? So it is what it is. So I think we're more than likely going to get Fury versus Joshua before we get Joshua versus Wilder. Why? Because I think Eddie Hearn realizes that's the biggest fight. I think the Saudis realize that's the biggest fight. And I think the Saudis made a decision that we're going to go in the direction of putting our investment and money towards Tyson Fury. We're going to focus on this guy. And then one last thing before I go to you, Dan, I apologize for being long-winded. You have guys like Tony Bellew. You have guys like Kyle Froch. You have guys like Derek Chisora. You have a lot of people out there, a lot of the British pundits. You have so many people out there saying it's not smart for Joshua to fight Wilder next, right? And then people looked at how Joshua fought against Helenius, which I thought was a good performance. But before that knockout, people were concerned about how he looked in those 5 prior rounds. It is what it is. It's fine. But I do think now people are saying to themselves, based off of these last couple fights of Joshua, maybe the Saudis are looking at it, maybe Eddie Hearn's looking at it, this version of Joshua, we're not 100% sure he can beat Wilder. We're not 100% confident in that. But regardless of that, even if we put him in there against Fury and he gets beat, I repeat, you could still make that fight with Wilder afterwards because you could sell it as 2 guys who both lost to Fury. This is a fight for the second best or third best, however you want to frame it. Dan, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah. What's that? Can you hear me?
Why not? Yeah, I do. You always have a great mic. Go ahead.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I agree with most of your points there. I mean, it was pretty well thought out and well measured and pretty much well spoken, well said. But just a couple of points here. Yeah, to your point, it is a fight, that bizarrely no one wants and no one really wants to see, but it is what it is. But at the same time, it's like we do have a right to criticize, and that's just my only point. It's like, look, we don't have to like it. I know Tyson Fury is your fighter. That's fine. You can support him, but don't expect people to fully be on board with this. That's my only gripe about this. And again and again and again, what my problem is that this guy keeps getting the pass for every single thing that we know he's doing wrong. We get some people getting passed for the Chisora fight because we all were led to believe that Usyk was going to be the following fight. We were lied to. So that's just my point. That's just the only thing I want to say there. But this whole thing about the Crown Prince and the skills challenge situation, yeah, obviously Prince Khalid's being shut out at the moment, because of friction between, him, his company, and the Saudi government. Now they're going with this other company, to see how see if they can deliver better results. I get it. It's them going with Fury here. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're going with this just because, to your point, maybe because it is a big event, in their eyes, it can bring more eyeballs to their culture for the most part, not just the event itself. It's just more to their culture because I think that's why they're doing this. Um, but one thing I need you to get your opinion, get your thoughts on this is that I recently found out that there's VOD testing that's being implemented for this fight between Ngannou and Fury. Why is that?
Why is that?
Hmm.
I think it would have to be because both fighters wanted it. Possibly, I think that's something that both fighters would have to agree on, and that's what they did. But I have to address one point,
Hmm.
and this is that, and I'm going to be respectful to you because you're a logical person, and if I explain something to you, you seem to understand it, right? You may disagree with it, but if I give you a fact based argument, you accept it. That other
Yeah.
idiot Papoose, he's a goofball. He's just gonna. I could tell him the sky is blue, and he'll tell me it's turquoise because he just wants to disagree with me.
Yes, sir.
This whole thing about there being a struggle, it's just not true because the Ministry of Sport is a governmental entity in
Right.
Saudi Arabia, which is actually run by the Crown Prince himself, and he's in charge of council members there. And this is just a fact. There's been people that have disagreed and had issues with the Crown Prince in the past. and he's locked them up, put them in jail. So
Hmm.
you don't really disagree with the crown prince, and if you do, you try to do it in private, or at least you have a conversation with him. They're not going to
Hmm.
openly have like this idiot was saying yesterday. Oh, there's a power struggle. No, there isn't. If you
No,
have a
is it?
power
No.
if you have a
No.
power struggle with the crown prince, you're going to get locked up. Just the way it goes.
Yeah, I
So
mean, yeah. I mean,
I
yeah,
think
okay. Go ahead,
I
man.
think
Sorry.
this is yeah, I think this is what they wanted. This is what the government wanted, because again, they use that investment fund. They have, in order to get the money to put on these events, has to go through the investment fund, and the crown prince basically has a big say in how that money gets used, because he's in charge. And this is
Yeah.
what he wanted to do. Now, again, am I saying he's going to sit there and get involved and design the post? I'm not saying he's
No.
going to get deep down hands on with it, but he makes a decision on how that money from the investment fund gets used. That's all I'm saying. And this is what he wanted at the end of the day. It's just obvious.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this though, just to make a point. I see JC got in, but let me just say this: if anyone should know better, just think about this logically. Saudi Arabia is a one rule, one party government, which means it's an authoritarian. There's no democratic election. So to say there's a power struggle there within that, within that brass, that's far fetched, because the last thing Mohammed bin Sham will do, MBS, the last thing he wants to do is have a power struggle within his government. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. So. Yeah, I agree with you on that front right there. But yeah, I mean, if like I said though, dude, like I said, I'm still taking my strong opinion on this. This is something I'm still going to criticize. I'm not going to watch it. That's my choice. That's my right. You can't
Yep.
convince me otherwise. So I'm going to still criticize it until the end. That's just the way it works. Some people may not like it, but tough luck. But the fact is this, though, when I'm just look. I said this, and I've been very consistent. I have no problem Tyson Fury just did this, as long as if he gave up the belt, let other guys fight for it, and or if he was at the end of his career, he's accomplished everything he's done in boxing, like Floyd Mayweather and Muhammad Ali did, where they were at the end of their careers, they've done everything they accomplished in boxing, and they have record to show for it. Then yeah, I have no problem doing what you're doing to take on exhibition bouts. That's fine, but let's be real. Let's be honest here. His record, his resume doesn't even come close to what they've done. And for them to sit there and justify, well, he's doing what they've done, well, he's nowhere near on their level, not even close. So, like again, if you've given up the belt, then fine, no problem. Would he still gotten criticized? Yeah, because he's still an active fighter. But at least you gave up the belt and let the division move on. Great. But here's what I find as a contradiction here. You say you don't care about legacy; it's all about money. Tyson Fury. You don't care about belts, but why are you still holding on the WBC belt then? I wish someone would challenge them on that. Why are you still holding on to the belt if that you don't care about belts?
Yeah, but Dan,
So,
this is more of a WBC problem than
yeah,
anything else. Because look what they're doing with Jamal Charlo.
true.
Look what they've done with Deontay Wilder in the past. The guy fought like one mandatory in 5 fucking years. This is a
Yeah,
WBC problem.
I agree.
This isn't a Tyson Fury problem. Same thing with the PBC fighters, right? A lot of people, oh, the PBC fighter, they don't fight. If you are being incentivized to fight lesser opposition, right? If you're being
Yeah,
incentivized to fight lesser opposition, right? Then you're going
yeah,
to do it. You have to blame the people at the top. This is a Saudi. If Saudi Arabia is going to pay this guy what they're going to pay him, any fighter is going to take 50 million to fight Francis Ngannou. Anyone. Joshua's going to take it. Usyk's going to take it. Any of them are going to take it. So the reason that the way this heavyweight division is the way it is because the WBC needs to step up and say they need to everything you just said right now needs to be said by Mauricio Suleiman, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
if they're the ones enabling the situation, right? I don't blame the fighters. I blame the governing bodies, right? I blame them more than
yeah,
anything. I blame the networks who are
yeah,
paying for the fights that people don't seem to be interested in. But here's the thing,
Yeah.
Dan. Tyson Fury loves playing this role. He loves being the bad guy. He loves being the heel because just like Floyd Mayweather, a lot of people are going to hate watch him, right? They're going to hate watch him. And as much as people say they're not going to buy this fight, I think a lot of them are at the end of the day. I think the curiosity is going to get the better of some people. I'm fighting with
Yeah.
every fiber of my being to not buy this fight because I don't like it. I don't like the
Well,
fight. I'm not.
yeah. Well,
The fight doesn't need to be justified. You know why the fight doesn't need to be justified? Because guess
what's
who
that?
justified? Guess who justified this fight? The Ministry of Sport justified this fight by giving one guy 50 million and giving the other guy 10 million. My opinion is never going to change that. So this fight's already been justified from a financial standpoint. Now,
Yeah.
let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if everyone does put their money where their mouth is. Let's see how many pay-per-view buys this does do on ESPN Plus. Because guess what, Dan? You have two fan bases, not one. Two fan bases buying this. I would not be
Yeah.
surprised if this does not do a 1 million pay-per-view buys in the United States. I would not be surprised. And I would not
Well,
be surprised if it does another 1,200,000 in the UK. This could end up being a blockbuster event, Dan, whether we like it or not. Is that fair to say?
Well, fair enough. But I will say this though, as far as the other side, the other fan base, they have also criticized as well because a lot of people are accusing Ngannou for ducking the John Jones fight, which I disagree with because I thought it was the other way around. So they're not happy about this because their whole gripe about this is like we've seen this before with these crossover events. It doesn't do well for MMA fighters, so that's why they're very upset about it. That's number one. Number two, about as far as Fury being the bad guy is concerned, I think he has no choice because the way of the Usyk fallout had took a toll on his reputation. So he has no choice but to be the bad guy here. And I genuinely believed that he wanted to be the guy, to be the heroine, the hero of the UK boxing scene. Because, like it or not, I think Tyson Fury envied Anthony Joshua the way he propelled to stardom, the way he was able to gravitate towards the hardcore boxing fan, the audience in the UK. He hated that. He couldn't stand it. He's like, well, why is this guy getting all the limelight? I'm not getting the limelight. Well, there's reasons behind it. He just said it. Look, Tyson Fury has a bad record of pulling out of fights, being difficult in negotiations, being difficult with his private life. Even though that's none of our business, but since he is a public figure, that's everyone's business, how he lives his life. So, yeah, he's probably angered the fact that he's lost that coming through the wilder fights, he was looked as a hero. But to have that all thrown away because the way you behaved in the Usyk situation, now you have no choice but to be the bad guy here. Now, as far as getting 1 million pay-per-view buys, I don't see it. Maybe he'll get close to maybe over 500,000 at best. As far as the U.S. is concerned, that's going to be a challenge. That's going to be a problem because the time zone differences. Where it's going to be, time is going to be broadcast to Saudi Arabia. We all know it's going to be in the afternoon. Not many people are going to be buying pay-per-views in the afternoon, especially how this event's been highly criticized. So at this point, like I said, though, it's probably up in the air, but I'm going to lean more towards as far as the U.S. results is concerned, I don't think it's gonna hit that mark, or neither in the UK. The Saudis are not gonna care because what? At the end of the day, they sit on an endless pool full of money. They're just
Dan, can I
using this
can I
event.
interject real quick?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury
Hmm.
did 500,000 pay-per-view buys. You don't think this does more than that?
Well, that
Those
they,
are
that was kind of expected because that was a fight that people were intrigued
500,000
about.
500,000
Yeah.
pay-per-view buys, Dan. Two novices fighting in an 8-round fight, bro. You
Well,
thought
Jake
you
Paul. Well, here, hold on. If you compare Jake Paul's star power level to these two guys, I mean, because that's far apart. Tyson Fury is no, and Francis Ngannou is nowhere near on that level of star power of Jake
what? You don't
Paul.
think Tyson
He-
Fury is more
no, no,
popular
he's
than
not.
Jake Paul
No,
globally?
no, he is. No,
Oh,
no,
100,
no. Come on, B.
100%,
No, he's not.
100%,
No, he's not. B,
100%.
B, B, B,
Much
B.
more
Come on, man.
popular.
No, he's
Much
not.
more.
No, he's not. No, he's not. In fact, let me tell you something. Jake Paul is a global commodity. Tyson Fury is nowhere on that level. Why do you think Tyson Fury is trying to use his name and try to be pals with this guy? Because he wants to use his name to propel his
Dan,
star power. That's what he's
Dan,
doing. That's what he's doing. That's what him and his
Dan,
brothers have been doing.
Dan. Tyson Fury
Mhm.
and Deontay Wilder sold 850,000 pay-per-view buys once,
Yeah,
660,000 pay-per-view buys the third time. Jake
yeah.
Paul's never
Why?
Jake Paul's never gone near that, bro. Never
Well,
gonna do
yeah,
it. We have to
he's
look at
never
numbers,
gonna.
Dan. Let's take
Huh?
emotions out and look at numbers, bro. Like we have the data to support. Now, if you want to say, um, in terms of popularity, like with the youth, like his whole image, like Jake Paul has had more of an impact from a social media standpoint, right, than Tyson Fury
Mhm.
has. But I'm talking about in regards to the sport of boxing, Tyson Fury in the sport of boxing between casual boxing fans and sports boxing fans alike, like hardcore boxing fans alike, all you got to do is look at Tyson Fury's numbers. Jake Paul's making 5 million, maybe 10 million a fight. Tyson Fury is made 50 million dollars a fight. I mean, it
Well, we're
is what it
talking
is.
about,
It
yeah,
is
wait,
what it
wait, wait,
is.
hold on. Yeah, I get you, but we're not talking about just boxing. Jake Paul has way more revenue overall because he has other streams of income that's far exceeds Tyson Fury, and you know this, man. And another thing I
Correct.
will say too, yeah, another thing I will say too is that it takes two to tango. The reason why Wilder and Fury did those numbers because those are two main attraction guys. So if you have a good dance partner, you're
Really?
gonna do big.
Wilder's not a big
Yeah,
name. He
yeah.
did
Well, no.
65,000 pay-per-view buys against Hellenius. Fury's a
Okay, how many
superstar.
pay? Wait,
Fury's a
wait, wait,
superstar,
hold
Dan.
up. How many
Dan,
pay-per-view
Fury's
fights did he do? Wait, how many pay-per-view fights he did with Chisora? What was the number?
Let's
Okay.
I have no idea. I have
uh,
no idea.
yeah,
Let's Google
exactly.
it. Let's Google it. I know 90,000. I know 60,000 people showed up.
Didn't sell out the event though.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't. That
Yeah,
was
they
an
did.
80,000. No, they did not sell out the
No,
event. That
no,
was an
no,
80,
no,
90,000 seat
no,
stadium
no.
in Tottenham.
Let's look
They did
at it.
not sell out.
Let's look at it, Dan.
They did not
Tyson
sell out.
Fury. Tyson Fury. I mean, we're looking for needles in the haystack. Like
Well, I know.
if you don't like Fury, you don't like Fury. Like I don't like
I'll tell
Tank
the
Davis.
truth.
I don't
I'll
like
tell the
Tank Davis.
truth.
I don't like Tank Davis at all.
Uh,
I don't like him
well,
at
hold
all.
on. Well,
I
hold on.
root.
Hold on.
I root. Wait. Whoa. I root against
Uh,
him every time he fights.
Fair
I just
enough.
don't
Fair
like.
enough.
But guess
Uh,
what? He's a
mhm.
superstar. Sorry, he's a
Well, it
superstar.
was.
I got to
And
admit it.
so
I can't get mad. I mean, it's a 70,000 seat stadium, and it was outdoors, raining in December. And the guy,
they did sell out. But here's the thing, though. Can I say this though, real quickly? I want to address this comment by Sly Tendencies. I know he's a big, 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 big Fury fan. I know he has a Tyson Fury lollipop that he sucks on all the time. No disrespect, but let me
yeah,
just say this.
but you're a
Let me just.
Matchroom fan, man. You work for
I
Eddie
ain't know,
Hearn.
man. Oh no, bro. You know me better than that, bro. I criticized Matchroom from the start to the finish. Let me just say this: this whole Netflix show. First of all, that Netflix show is only in the UK analytics, not the entire world. So be quiet. Nobody even in the US doesn't even know about that show. So
You,
let's not talk about that. If
you watched it.
don't
You
justify.
watched it. Yeah, you watched it, and I watched it, so we know about it.
I don't even know. No, I don't even know one episode. What are you talking about?
And you watched
I
the
haven't
whole
even
thing.
watched it.
You
I
watched the
know I
whole thing.
haven't.
Man. Come on.
I have not.
Ty-
I have. I
Tyson
haven't even
Fury.
watched that show.
Tyson Fury
Uh-huh.
versus Derek Chisora did 300,000 pay-per-view buys. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
UK. How many did it do in the United States?
That we don't have data on that one. It wasn't even pay per view in the
All right,
U.S.
here it is. Here it is.
Was it?
It said that it did 600,000 pay-per-view buys from the US and 3,000.
What?
That's what it's saying. It said
Mm-hmm.
it did. That's what it's saying here. So it did
What was the source of that?
600,000 here.
That's fine.
Sportskeeda. It says so.
Source
It says
did.
it did six. Yeah, it says it did 600,000 pay-per-view buys here, and 300 pay-per-view buys.
I like to know what Sports Katie's source is
Well,
on
you're not
that one because
anything you don't want to believe. You're not going to agree with it. It's like so. It's.
no, 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 no. I'm intrigued. What was the source to that? Because that's the
I
first
just
time I've
told
heard
you
of that
sports.
number.
I just told you the
Yeah,
same one.
what?
The same one
Yeah,
that
Sports
said it did.
Katie is.
Yeah,
Who's their source?
Sportskeeda.
Who's who's their source? Because they had to get that from someone. Who did they? Who was their source to
I
that?
mean,
I mean, because
like, how do we get any source? I mean, it's leaked
well,
out
let
to.
me see. The UK paper. Let me see. It was shown in the UK. And the time zone was 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. Is they 600,000 buys at that time zone in the U.S.? Hmm,
Dan, Dan,
that's weird.
Dan, Dan, Dan,
Uh-huh.
Dan.
Hmm.
The main event is in prime time, bro. It's like it goes off at like 6, 7 o'clock, bro. People watch it.
So you
It's not
telling
like
me that 600,000 people watched Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury the third
I'm not
fight?
telling you anything. I'm telling you what you wanted me to. You asked me to source it. I'm sourcing it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to look into that because
I'm
that's
just
the
sourcing it.
first time I've ever heard of
Dan, Dan,
600,000.
Dan. He's a
First time.
Dan. Tyson Fury
Okay.
is the biggest name in the heavyweight division right now. He's a superstar, whether you like it or not.
Biggest name in heavyweight division.
There's nothing I
Really?
can do about it.
Really?
Yeah, but what
He hasn't even cracked a million pies, but I know who did. Alexander Usyk did it
does
twice.
it?
So what are you talking about?
It doesn't matter how many pay-per-view buys you do, Dan. It matters how
Yeah,
much
well,
revenue.
Usyk just
Dan,
sold out, and
Dan,
he
Dan,
sold out in
stop,
Poland,
Dan, stop,
50,000
stop,
people.
Dan, stop,
So
stop,
what?
stop, 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 stop. Wilder versus Joshua, the second fight,
You mean
generated more
Usyk?
revenue, generated more
Usyk
money than,
Joshua.
than Joshua Usyk. Just telling you, it's a bigger fight.
Okay.
That
Well,
year,
Usyk.
that year,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
year, Tyson Fury was ahead of Anthony Joshua on the Forbes list. So
Really? Well, he's
again,
not on the Forbes list this year.
he will be he'll be ahead of every he'll be number 2 in boxing behind Canelo Alvarez in 2028.
No, that ain't gonna happen,
It's a
bro. Let's
fact,
not.
Dan.
Let's
Dan,
cut the.
Dan,
That ain't gonna
easily.
happen. That ain't
Dan,
gonna happen.
please, Dan, please, Dan,
Uh huh.
please. Let's do logic.
Uh huh.
Anthony Joshua, right,
Uh huh.
made $8 million in his last fight.
That's true.
Tyson Fury is going to make over 50 million. He made with this could be a $60 million payday for Tyson Fury. Add
Could
in
be.
his Netflix special. Add in he gets 8 million in sponsorships. Right? He's going to
Hmm.
be ahead of Anthony Joshua this year on the Forbes list without question.
Yo,
Without
Joe,
Yeah,
question.
he may. He may. He may. He may.
denial
I'll give you.
denial ain't just a river in Egypt. And when I see stuff like this, it just kind of proves my point. It's
The Nile
not
River,
like
Egypt. Okay,
no,
I
it ain't
never heard
no,
of
it
that
ain't
before.
just a river in Egypt. So look. Here's let's get a couple of things across first. I want Undisputed more than almost anybody does. So when people try to say, "Oh, you don't want him to fight Usyk because he's going to lose," I've always believed, and a lot of really good experts believe that Usyk he's way too especially after the Dubois stuff. And I don't know where y'all stand on that, but to me, that was a clean shot. To a lot of really great champions, coaches, that was a clean shot. But I get it. The ref
Yo, you
makes
gotta
the
get rid of
call,
this kid for
whatever.
a dime, bro. Well, hold up, Sly, hold
However,
up.
some of the
Hold
stuff
up,
you're
Slick.
saying, though,
Yeah, thank
dude,
you,
is
Steve.
just completely in denial. You said it wasn't the number one show in America. It was
It
number
isn't.
one in America. It was number one for
No, it
4
isn't.
weeks. That was on
Where?
ESPN's website.
Wait. Hold up,
It
hold up.
was
Where's the
on.
analytics
It
on
was
that? Where's
again.
the
It was on
analytics?
ESPN. It was reported by ESPN. It was the number one show
By
for
who?
4 weeks.
No, that's in
Also,
the UK.
you
That's
said
not.
500.
No, hold up,
No, not in
Sly.
the
That's in the
UK.
UK.
Not in the
Now,
UK. That was here.
where's? No, it
So
wasn't.
when you log in,
No, it
into
wasn't. That you're
Netflix
lying right
in
there, bro. No, it
America,
wasn't.
when you log into Netflix in America, it pulls
Hmm.
you into it's the American version of Netflix. It was number one on there for 4 weeks.
Well, let's do that right now. In
Again,
fact, I'm gonna
it's
pull up
just
Netflix.
denial. It's just
I'm going to
denial,
pull up
dude.
Netflix.
Dan,
I'm gonna pull up
It's
Dan,
just
Netflix right
denial.
now.
Dan. I
Also,
Up
Joe, real
Netflix
quick
right
to
now.
correct you real quick,
Wait,
Joe,
hold up.
real
I'm
quick.
pulling up Netflix right now. I'm gonna wait. I'm pulling
Also,
up Netflix right now.
just to correct you real quick, Joe, it's not
Uh
number
huh.
one now, so I don't know what pulling it up now is going to do. It's not. You're so late
Oh
to the party on this. Real quick, Joe.
no,
The
no.
Chisora Fury fight wasn't on pay per view in America. It was available through
Thank
ESPN
you.
Plus. Which,
Thank you.
well, I'm not. I don't know why you're acting like that's justifying anything you said. That actually hurts your argument because you have to
But
pay
what
to
does
have
it? It wasn't.
ESPN Plus. So I mean,
That's a
like I
subscription.
said,
Now
man.
see,
It's
now
just
see, Dan.
denial, man.
Now Dan,
Wait, hold up, hold up, hold up. No,
Dan,
no,
let
no,
me
no,
say
hold up.
something.
I gotta
Dan,
respond.
can
I
I
gotta
say
respond to that. I gotta
Dan,
respond
can I
to that
just
real
say
quick.
something?
Let
Dan,
let
let me
Joe
say
go. Let Joe
something.
go.
Dan, let me say something. Now
Hmm.
he just corrected me with evidence. Guess what?
Hmm.
Sly, I concede.
Yo.
I made an error.
Yeah.
Now, when
Hmm.
I give you data, right, and you don't
Hmm.
like the data, you're just gonna say the data is fake. Like we got to pick and choose now. Which we have to take away confirmation bias. He corrected me. Guess what? I apologize to the audience. I made an error. I was incorrect. I retract that statement. Now, I proved to you that Tyson Fury generates more revenue currently, right, based off of data than Anthony Joshua does. He's making $8 million. He's making $8 million in sponsorships. Now, Anthony Joshua used to be the king of sponsorships in the heavyweight division. He lost 40% of his sponsorship money because of his 2 losses. It's documented in Forbes. It's documented in Forbes. So again, Anthony Joshua is still a force, but he's been passed right now currently by Tyson Fury. It's just that simple, Dan. I mean,
and let me give Dan a little credit too. I'm going to give Dan a little bit of credit too. Dan, I think AJ has the best resume at heavyweight besides Alexander Usyk, hands down.
Yeah.
He fought the better competition. I don't take that away from him.
AJ's been more consistent. Fury kills himself. You know why Fury kills himself? Because he's inconsistent.
Yeah. If you watch that show, and if there was any inkling that you had any doubt that Fury was not bipolar, watch that show. You'll find out real quick.
I ain't watching it, bro.
He's absolutely bipolar. Yeah. No, I'm not telling you. I'm just telling you in the show, it really proves he is.
He hates Tyson Fury so much.
I get it. I know why.
He just can't accept reality. Like, I don't like Tank Davis. I've openly said I don't like him. But he is by far and away the biggest superstar in the lightweight division. No one can even touch that guy.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. Here's the thing, though. Yeah, I don't like the guy. I ain't going to put up in front about that.
But I deal with reality. I deal with reality.
I deal with reality, too. But I'll tell you this. Until you say who you are, if you say you're greater than the other heavyweight fighters of all time, then you need to prove it. And this crap about him being the longest lineal heavyweight champion, that's a lie. He is not the longest lineal heavyweight champion. That goes to Joe Louis. He holds the record for the longest reigning as a
He's not talking. Champion. He's not talking fights. He's talking years. He's not talking.
No, Joe.
We're talking about a time when guys would fight 15 times a year, though. Back then.
Yeah, but
like,
Joe
it's
Louis
not the same thing. I'm not saying that Fury. I would never compare Fury to Joe Louis.
Well, Joe
Louis has 25 title defenses, and he's a 2-time champion. I'm not taking that away from him.
But he had a 9-year reign, though.
Of course. Of course. That's not what I'm saying. He's saying that what Fury's saying, and look, I don't necessarily think there's a lot of caveats to what he's saying. But technically, if we go by the John L. Sullivan lineal designation, nobody's beating him. And I don't necessarily think that, nobody back then would have taken time off for mental health. And I hate to say that, but it is what it is. Like, nobody's taking it from him. And he's done some things that you got to understand, dude. We're not going to defend fucking some of the shit Tyson Fury's done. He's done and said a lot of stupid shit. But I'm telling you right now, if it came down to him fighting any of those guys, he beats all of them. He's just better than they are.
Well, we don't know that because he hasn't gotten the ring with them and he's refused to fight them. But wait, can I say something? Before you jump in? Can we all agree right now? That if he retires today, he won't be considered one of the all-time heavyweight greats if he retires right now? Can we all agree at this point?
Yeah, I agree with that. By most people. But Dan, let me ask you this. So you look at Usyk, right? Usyk's got holes in his resume. If he retires tomorrow, guess what they're going to say? He never fought Wilder. He never fought Fury. If Joshua retires tomorrow, they're going to say he never fought Wilder. He never fought Fury. So all these guys have holes, and all these guys have issues fighting each other. Like, Anthony Joshua had problems making fights with Fury. He had problems making fights with Wilder. Again, we want to pick and choose, and we want to call this guy this guy that. When you try to make a big fight at this level, it's never going to be easy. So you can't just say one guy. Like, everyone is difficult to deal with.
But here's the thing, Joe. Here's what.
Look at Tyson. Look at Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. That fight took fucking 6 years to make.
Yeah, it took a long time. Here's the thing that lifts my ass off the can, though. And I'm not trying to I'm not like one of these people that wants to be a manager and get involved in all this shit. But here's what kind of makes me wonder, all these people that are so mad about the Fury Usyk fight not being made. It took 5 years to get Spence in the ring with Crawford. 5. They worked for 2 different promotional companies, all that shit. The Usyk Fury fight, it's been a year and a couple of months. I'm not saying, yeah, that should justify it taking forever. I don't want it to take forever either. But people are acting like, and here's the other part that bothers me. Why is Fury always the one that's bad in negotiations? And it's never Usyk. It's never
Well, can
Krasick.
I?
It's never
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn gave notoriously gave Andy Ruiz 13% in the first fight with AJ and gave him 17 in the rematch. Nobody's
Well, can I
calling
say something?
nobody's calling Fury a slave master.
Yo, let me
Go
take
ahead,
that.
man.
Let me take that. Wait, let me take that. What? Why is look? I'm not a Fury hater. Like I'm nowhere near as critical of Fury as Dan is. But why is Fury so hard to negotiate when it's a big fight?
Well,
Because
but
wait,
I
let
just
me
proved that
finish.
it's not a
Oh,
one-way
last
thing
fight.
Let me
though.
finish.
Why
Let me
why
finish.
is Anthony Joshua so
Wait,
hard to
wait,
negotiate
wait,
when it's a
wait,
big fight?
wait.
Why hasn't he fought Wilder?
Let me finish.
Why hasn't he fought Fury?
Let me
Okay.
finish what I'm saying though. Let me finish. Look, the thing is this. The problem is I have and a lot of people have is when it came to the Chisora fight and the Ngannou fight, those fights happened so quickly. There's nothing in them and there's nothing on social media. None of these negotiations were made public. But when it came to the AJ fight, when it came to the Usyk fight, everything was in public. It was a lot of going back and forth. And to me, it seemed like he's harder to go negotiate when there's a big fight. But
Everyone's
the
harder
track
to
record as well.
negotiate
There's a
with
track
when it's a
record.
big fight. It's
Yeah, I don't.
Well,
That's a
It's
really
par
odd
the
criticism.
course. It's
wait, hold
par
up,
the
hold up,
Wait,
course.
wait.
When you have two
hold up.
big stars, when you have two big stars trying to make a big fight, they're going to posture for leverage. The problem with the Usyk situation is Tyson Fury has openly been very disrespectful to Usyk, and I believe because of that, there's a resentment.
I
There's a,
agree with
resent,
that.
there's a resentment on that side. So they
Well,
were more willing to take the shorter end of the stick against Joshua because Joshua wasn't openly disrespectful. Here's the thing,
well,
bro. Here's the thing. Joshua was hard to deal with Wilder. He's hard to deal with Fury. It's not about one guy being. It's about this. When you try to put a big fight together, it's with a lot of money involved, and you're trying to divvy up the pot. It's not the person that's hard to deal with. It's the situation that is a difficult situation. Stop
Yeah.
with this. We
No,
can
but
go
wait,
down the
wait.
list.
He tried.
It
He got out the Klitschko
took fucking
rematch. He got out the
5 years,
well,
6 years
Klitschko.
to make.
wait. Can I
Wait.
take
How
this?
many years? Wait. Motherfucking wait. How many
All
years
right,
did it
B.
take to make Hagler versus Leonard? How many
No
years
Wait,
did it take
shit.
to make Like, we can't
Hold up,
ignore
bro.
history. We can't
But B, I
ignore
get you. I
history.
get you on that. Well, hold up. I'm gonna take this one. Fury has a long rap sheet when it comes to being difficult. Why fights
So
get
does
pulled off. Wait, hold up,
Joshua.
hold
So
up.
does
How
Let me
difficult
Joshua.
was it to
B,
make the Vladimir Klitschko
B,
fight?
You gotta let him talk.
You gotta
You
let
gotta
me
let him
finish my
talk.
point. Jesus
Wait,
Christ, man.
go on.
Damn, you guys get your point.
Let's
Yeah.
get some procedure. What
Yeah,
procedure time?
yeah, thank you, Ahmed. We can go back to David Price. He avoided that fight. Okay, that is well documented. He did that.
Yeah.
Talked all that crap about fighting David Price, but as soon as he was called up to defend his title, British title, he avoided it. He vacated it. That's number one. Number two, the Alexander Ustinov fight. He was scheduled to fight that, and he pulled out the last minute. I know there was a family situation, but I think there was more behind that.
I
Why
mean,
he
his
pulled
daughter
out.
died.
No, it was no daughter. It was no daughter. You're talking about his uncle. Get your facts straight, Slide.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, sorry, yeah, my bad. No, I got it backwards. I got it back. Oh, I got one
Yeah.
wrong. It's not like you haven't made up a bunch of shit.
Okay, but
No,
We've
it's
been
the
when
on
we're
truth.
this.
wrong, Dan, when we're wrong, we
Wait,
correct
hold on, BB. I'm not
Yeah,
finished. I'm not
that's
finished.
exactly my
No, not
point. Like
finished.
when we're wrong,
You
I'm a
guys,
scumbag.
y'all
When you're wrong, get your facts right.
every time we're wrong, we correct ourselves. When we prove you wrong, well, the data's wrong.
You're saying the show wasn't even number
You guys are
one, dude.
filibustering. Wait. Y'all fools are. You guys are filibustering. You're not going to allow me to finish my point. Jesus Christ! I didn't
You
interrupt you
keep
guys.
saying
All
that,
right.
and yet you're still talking.
Yo,
Slide.
let me just
Can
say
you be
he was
quiet for a second?
talking.
Jesus
Just
Christ.
address the point. This is
Parliamentary
it's
procedure.
a debate.
Parliamentary
It's not
procedure.
a
Parliamentary
filibuster.
procedure. Parliamentary
Wait,
procedure. Jesus Christ.
wait.
This ain't Parliament.
All right, go now.
Yeah, go
One at a
now.
time.
All right. All right. How many times he's got to, be different? Not difficult with anyone else.
Somebody's calling.
Go
It
ahead.
ain't me.
First two. So to Ahmed's point there. Another thing, the Vladimir Klitschko rematch. Why did he pull out of that one? Why didn't he give Vladimir his rematch when he was obligated to? He found a way to loophole to get out of that. So another thing, he was stringing everybody along for years with Undisputed. First with the Joshua situation, which you and I, Beat, you and I probably agree on the fact that, yeah, we thought that Wilder, Fury kind of strung everybody along in that situation. So yeah, and now with the Usyk thing,
Do
which
you
we all
see
know,
though that the problem with your argument is that you're all in every scenario, it's always Fury being the bad guy. What happened with the IBF right after Fury won the belt? The minute after he won the IBF belt against him, what happened?
we got popped for drugs. What are you talking
No,
about?
what happened? No, what happened right after with the IBF belt?
Well, that had well, first of all, the IBF
He got
situation. That's
stripped
not
because he agreed to a rematch clause. That's on
yeah,
him. That's on
exactly.
him. That's
No,
on
but
him for agreeing to that
why
rematch.
would but
Nobody forced
knowing
him.
that, why
Nobody
would the
forced him
IBF
to
do
accept the
that?
rematch. Nobody
Okay,
forced
First
him
of
to
all,
accept the
Fury.
knowing
Wait,
rematch.
wait,
that,
hold up.
knowing
Fury
that, why would
knew.
the IBF do that?
Fury
Did
knew
they
the
want to
IBF was
strip
going
a
to call.
guy who was making money for him?
Oh, Jesus Christ. The
No, but you
IBF.
see, you'll make excuses for organizations when it's
Oh
someone you don't
Lord.
like, but when you do like them,
You're gonna
Fury.
defend
he's
Fury
ducking.
regardless, man. That's
Fury
you're gonna
knew.
defend
Hold up,
Fury
hold up, Jaime, hold
regardless,
up.
and
Fury knew the IBF were going to call that mandatory after that Klitschko fight. He knew that.
He
Him and
knew
his
that.
team knew that. Yeah, he knew
Oh my
that, and he still
gosh,
agreed. Yes, he
that is.
did.
How do you know
He
that?
did because
Dan,
his team
Did
even
he say
confirmed it.
that? Was he on video going, I knew they were going to do that? The only
Dan,
time he even
No,
talked
the
about it was on the
Dan,
BBC interview where he said they didn't want me to have the belt. So as soon
Dan,
as I got it, they freaking mandated me to fight somebody
Dan,
else, knowing that I had a
why
rematch clause.
Dan,
you
Dan,
why
with
you don't get
respect,
it.
Dan, with respect, here's where you're killing your own argument. Here's where you're destroying your own argument. I
Go
agree
ahead.
with
Here.
I agree with everything you just said. All those things Fury did, indefensible. You want to know why I think Fury retired? Because he knew he was going to be under investigation by UCAD. He
Yep.
knew he was more than likely going to get suspended. So he stepped
Yep.
away. There was a lot of pressure on him and a lot of stress he was going through due to the situation that he put his own self in. But guess what, Dan? He did what you asked him to do. He retired, right?
hmm
He vacated all the titles, and people fought for those titles. So that doesn't mean everything you're saying right now. He already did what you asked him to do. You said if he's not going to defend the titles, what did you say? Let him vacate the titles and let someone else fight for him. So
Strip
he
him,
did
yeah.
he did what you asked him to do in that situation. So
He stripped. He was
he
stripped,
got,
bro.
he
He was
got
stripped. He didn't
he,
vacate them.
well
He was stripped.
he got stripped by one. He got stripped by one and he vacated the others when he walked away, Dan.
Of course. Of
So
course. He
he
was
did
getting stripped, so
he,
he had no choice but to
Dan,
Like
vacate one
they're
of those
calling
titles.
the guy he
Dan,
beat.
Dan,
They're
Dan,
defending the guy for
Dan,
getting
did he
beat.
do what you asked him to do, Dan? You asked him if he's not going to defend the titles, give them up. So he did what you asked him to do. How could you be mad at someone or resentful or angry at someone that did what you asked them to do? So
Dave, you kill yourself arguing on that. He did not give up the
no.
titles. He was stripped.
The situation has
He was
been
stripped.
correct. Dan, he retired.
He was
W
stripped.
Dan,
He retired before he was stripped.
Dan,
No, he
Dan,
did not.
Dan,
You
See,
guys
look,
are
they just can't.
unbelievable.
They have to be.
Stop.
They want to be right more than
Stop.
they want to see
Everyone
facts.
stop. Everyone stop.
Lord, you guys are
Everyone
so
stop.
wrong. He
Everyone
retired
stop.
after he was
You're not
stripped.
on a
You
Ring
guys,
IQ panel,
Dan,
so we got it.
Dan, Dan,
no, Jesus Christ, he
Dan,
retired after he was
Dan,
stripped. You
Dan,
guys are
stop.
unbelievable.
Dan, stop. The WBA did not strip him. The WBO did not strip him. Only the IBF stripped him, and then he retired, and the other two were vacated. Regardless of the fact, he stepped away. He decided he wasn't going to fight and defend those titles. He did what you asked him to do. So now what is the fucking problem, Dan? That situation is rectified. According to what you wanted, right? You said this. You said if he's not going to defend the WBC title, you have no problem with it. Just vacate it, right? So he stepped away and he vacated those other two titles and was stripped by the IBF. He did what you asked him to do. So why are you bringing that up now if he's already done what you asked him to do? Please, Dan, you have to
Well,
make sense.
the problem with that situation was the rematch.
There is no problem with it. He
Wait,
stepped
wait.
away for the sport for 2 years and never
No,
fought again.
You
So what's
guys,
the problem?
you moving the
What's the
goalposts, B.
problem?
You
wait.
moving the
Let me
goalposts,
finish.
bro.
Let
So
me
go ahead,
finish.
man.
Joe,
That
stop
is
hitting them
fact.
with
It's all
facts.
fact.
Those are
It's
not
That's
fact.
facts.
all facts,
Stripped.
He
man.
walked
He
away for
pulled
2
Was
out. He
stripped,
pulled
years.
guys.
out of a
He
rematch
walked away for
clause.
2 years.
He
What are you
Denial,
on?
dude. It's denial. It's just
You
denial.
guys
He
are
pulled out the
unbelievable,
rematch.
man.
Like, I've never disliked the boxer so much that I'm willing to just make
He
up
pulled
shit.
out of a
He
rematch
walked
clause.
away
I
for
don't think
2
I've seen someone
years.
like a
He
boxer so
basically
much.
handed Joshua the belts. What's the
He
problem?
pulled out of a rematch clause with
Joshua agreed to the
a rematch with
rematch.
Klitschko.
Yeah, and he
Joshua agreed to the
retired.
rematch with
And the belts
Klitschko
were
and
fought for
AJ.
by other fighters.
AJ was
He
gonna
did
fight
what you
Klitschko in a
asked him
rematch.
to
Klitschko
do,
retired.
Dan.
Look, compare the two situations.
Jesus
One
fucking
guy
Christ. Like,
did his best to get
this
out
is
the rematch
cognitive
clause. The other guy
dissonance. You
was
just said
consistent.
earlier you would have no problem if he vacated the belt. Well, he vacated.
You're not gonna win an argument over talking people, bro. You can't do that, B. You know
It's
better than
not
that,
over
bro.
talking people. When we bring it up,
Yeah,
you just change the subject.
you guys are moving the
You
goalposts.
just contradicted. Dan, you're contradicting yourself. Admit it.
How I contradict
Oh
myself?
my
What the fuck is
God.
you talking about?
Dan,
You said in the beginning, if he vacated the belt, I'd be happy. Come on.
But
Those
why
are
are
two
we using
different
this?
situations.
There's two different situations. What are you talking
Gosh.
about?
Dan, this is not
Jesus
a good
Christ.
way. Dan, this
He's
is
not
not a
doing
No.
exactly what I want him to do when I want him to do it. So he's ducking and he's bum. We got it.
He is ducking. He admitted he ducked the fight. He admitted it in the Sky Sports
By
interview.
the way, how
Sly,
did that purse
Sly,
bid go? Like you said, Usyk's worth all this money. How did that purse bid go with Daniel
he
Dubois?
won the
He
first
made
bid. He
$6
won the first
million.
bid. He won the
Fury
first
got
bid,
Philly
bro.
Rumble
36
is gonna
million against
defend.
Dillian
You
White.
guys, you slide. You
He's
guys
not
are
worth no money
unbelievable.
though. He don't make no money.
Ah, Jesus Christ. But Sly, let me
You
ask
see,
you.
this is what I'm saying. This is a
Dan,
Fury
you just
fanboy
said.
God,
logic.
this is the
You're
dick
the
and the booty shit y'all want to
Fanboy.
try to
No, it's
ignore,
Yeah,
fanboy.
like
man.
Tyson
Dan,
Fury.
you
Yeah,
just
you like
said.
that didn't believe in
You
Tyson Fury though,
just
right,
said.
Sly? You sucked
I
his dick
didn't say
every
hey,
night.
I
No,
didn't say it like
yeah, you
that.
did.
I said I
Yeah,
didn't
you
say it
did.
like
Yeah, you
that.
did.
No.
You going
You're
there,
the
bro.
one saying
You
the gay You're the one
Just
saying
said.
I want
You
that
just
shit.
said in the beginning of the podcast that you would have no problem if he vacated his WBC belt and fought other fights. Well, in the situation you're criticizing him for, he got stripped by the IBF, okay, and then he vacated the WBA and the WBO after he retired, and he no longer fought for 2 years, and he let other people fight for the belts. So
He
that
got stripped by the
situation,
Ring magazine as well. So
whatever the case may be, he retired, and other people were able to fight for his belts. Okay.
Okay, firstly, for what's that situation have to do with this situation?
You brought it up, Dan, not me.
No, you're bringing it up to
Dan,
justify it. That's what you're
Dan,
doing.
you can't lie. It's on tape. It's on video. You brought it up first. I
Like
never
you
talked
even brought
about
up him ducking
it. Dan,
David Price.
He
stop.
did.
You gotta
He
Come
did.
stop.
on, dude.
He did.
But
Fury,
look how far back
Dan,
you're going to prove
Dan,
your point.
Dan,
Exactly.
Fury,
He has a bad
Dan,
track record.
Dan,
Then you guys are
Dan,
trying to justify
Exactly.
his track
Dan,
record. No,
Exactly. You're
Dan,
just
you guys are
Fury
trying to
fucked
justify
up.
his bad.
Dan, Fury fucked up. Back in 2015, Fury fucked up. He was
So you agree he has
stripped.
a bad track
He
record.
was
You
he
agree
was
with that?
stripped. He was stripped, right? He
Yeah.
was stripped. He
hmm
vacated 2 titles and he walked
hmm
away for 2 years and the
Yeah.
division moved on without him. He
Yeah.
did what
So you
he
admit he
did.
has a bad track record.
Of course he did.
Thank
Of
you.
course,
Yeah,
That's
he
all I
came
asked
back
for.
2 years off the couch and beat Wilder 3 times.
of course he did.
Congratulations.
Well,
Congratulations,
no,
Sly.
he's so terrible. He's got a bad track record. He beat the guy
Yeah.
that Joshua ducked, that Usyk openly
But
ducked, albeit
you
his fight
guys,
with
oh
Pallanius.
my god.
Where was he? He didn't
How
you
show
can
up.
Usyk
guys.
duck Wilder? Like this is what I'm
How can
saying.
Usyk duck Wilder? Now you
The
screwed up,
levels
Sly.
of
How did Usyk duck
delusions.
Wilder? Explain
The
that.
levels of delusions that
Because Usyk said at Bob Arum's birthday,
Oh Lord.
I'll be front row at the Wilder fight. I'll be up front row with
how does that
Gigas.
mean he
He
ducked?
never showed
What
up. See, this is the thing. You can only
AJ never
find the
showed up
duck
to
when
any of
it's
the fights
someone
that
you
Wilder
don't like. You can only find the
You're just
duck when
making
it's
stuff up
someone
to
you don't
support your
like.
argument.
Wait. Hold up. How did Usyk duck Wilder? What? How did
I
that
just
happen?
explained it 3
Dan,
times.
That does
Dan,
not that does not mean it's done.
Did Mike Tyson duck Lennox Lewis?
Well, yeah. When he vacated the WBC belt, yeah, he did.
He also paid step aside money to Lennox Lewis.
He never vacated the WBC belt. He paid step aside to fight him.
No, he did vacate that because the
No, he
He
never.
didn't
WBC. Oh no,
vacate it.
yes, he did.
Never
Yes,
He
he
paid
vacated.
did.
step aside,
Dan,
man.
Oh,
Dan,
Jesus
Dan,
Christ! You
Dan, he
guys, I know
lost
this
it.
better than anybody
Dan,
else.
he
All
lost
right,
it.
now you are making
Dan,
up shit.
Dan, he lost it to Evander Holyfield after he paid the step aside fee. Don,
WBA. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, he did not. The WBA title was on the line that night, not the WBC. Tyson was stripped before he fought Holyfield because the WBC mandated him to fight Lewis and he vacated it. That is fact. Look it
no, he
up.
wasn't. stripped.
Look it up.
He was
Look it
never
up.
stripped of the WBC.
Y'all don't
I
know
don't know
what you're talking
where
about.
do people like get this stuff, man?
Look it up. Look it up. Jesus Christ. I know this stuff. I follow this to the T. He was stripped.
You can't
And Lewis,
even. That's the thing. You're
Jesus
saying you
Christ,
know this
Lewis,
stuff.
and
You
Lewis
can't even
and
admit
McCall.
like basic facts.
How did Usyk duck Wilder when the ball?
All right,
Again,
Dan-
I'm gonna say it one more time.
once
I'm gonna say it one more
again,
time.
once
Wilder and he
Once
did fight
again,
the
Dan
bar.
is correct.
If
Dan
he
is
fought
correct.
Wilder and he did fight
Dan
the
is
bar, you
correct.
would have said
Dan
he
is
ducked
correct.
the bar. You
But
can't-
look,
you can't move the goal.
I'm gonna say it again, Hamed.
Stop. Dan is correct. He was stripped of the WBC title.
Stop.
Dan, he was stripped. Now I concede your point. Now will you concede the point that Tyson Fury was vacated the WBA and the WBO and he was only stripped of the IBF? Will you concede that point?
Okay.
He got stripped of the
Would you
IBF,
concede that
and
point, Dan?
I think relinquished. the
Would you
belt.
concede that point?
I'm sorry.
Would you concede the point that Tyson Fury back in 2015 vacated his WBA and WBO titles?
I think
That's a
he did.
fact.
Let me
That's a
just go ahead and confirm. Let me confirm
Yeah,
that.
that's a
Give me
fact.
minute.
There's
That's a
nothing
fact.
really to debate.
That's a
Okay.
fact.
There's nothing to debate on that because he, I think, got stripped of one belt and then
He got stripped of the
relinquished both belts.
IBF and he vacated the
Yeah,
other
and
two.
he relinquished the rest.
Here
and
it
then he got
is.
stripped of-
Tyson Fury vacates WBO and WBA heavyweight titles.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
is-
yeah, you're right. You're
And he
right.
was-
Yeah, you're
so
right.
we-
Yeah.
So we could do this, Dan. Dan, anytime
Yeah,
you're
you're
right
right.
and I'm wrong, let's do
Yeah, I
this.
just
now,
concede the
Dan.
point.
Let's do this,
Yeah,
Dan.
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
No.
You're right. Yeah.
This isn't about right or wrong, Dan. This isn't about right or wrong. This is about getting the right
Mhm.
information. So let's
You're right.
make a pact for the rest of this discussion. I have a psychological disorder. That's why let's make a pact for the rest of this discussion that we're going to concede points when we're proven wrong. Can we do
Okay.
that?
Absolutely.
What do you guys
Thank
think
you.
though? Fury rematches Ngannou, he said, and then he wants to fight John Jones. Like, are you guys
It looks-
still going to
It
defend
looks,
him? 'Cause
again,
it
it looks
seems like-
ridiculous that you need.
No.
It looks ridiculous that you need a rematch clause if you're fighting Francis Ngannou. I
But,
tell
I
the
mean-
truth. I tell.
Well, I mean, that's what
Here's
he
what.
said he's
Okay,
gonna
real
do.
quick, Hamed. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick about the rematch shit. Here's what's so funny about people. When Fury says something completely outlandish, people are like, he's a crazy. He just says anything. But when he says something that is obvious horseshit, that he's going to sign a rematch clause with Francis Ngannou, everybody believes it.
You did.
Do you really believe that? Do you
He did.
really believe that?
It is a rematch clause.
It is a rematch
Where,
clause. It's been confirmed.
dude? He said there is
This
no
guy,
rematch
man, This
clause.
guy's gonna defend Fury. Like you would probably defend Fury before
Again, this is just you wanting to believe that.
That's why. It's the truth.
I will send my Cash App and bet money on that right now.
Stop. Everyone stop for a second. I'm gonna be objective and honest here. I don't know if there's a rematch clause because guess who said it? Gareth
There's
Davis.
an article yesterday.
Wait,
I just
stop.
seen- I'll post the article.
Stop. Gareth Davis was the one that said it. Okay.
Boxing scene.
He
Boxing
was
scene
also.
Francis
again,
Ngannou said it too.
They're quoting Gareth Davis, right?
Francis Ngannou said it too.
Ngannou,
He
the
said
guy
it.
himself.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy himself said it.
He said that.
I don't know for sure whether there is.
This article.
I don't believe that. No. I don't believe that for
Ngannou
one
said
minute.
it himself.
Not for 1
Francis
minute.
Ngannou admitted it said it himself. Why would he lie about that?
No.
Ngannou
I
said
don't
the
believe
other
that for
day
1
there's
minute.
a rematch clause.
No, Ngannou
This
said
is
it
just
himself.
talk.
No, this is
because
talk. He said it
Fury,
himself.
okay, so if you want to say Francis said it and it's true, Tyson said that there wasn't a rematch clause.
No, he did not say that.
Yes,
That's
he
a
did.
lie.
He's on
said-
video.
he
He's
He
on
just
video
said-
saying, "I don't. There is no rematch clause that I'm aware of."
No, he didn't say that. No, so he
See,
did not say that.
because that's the thing. You want to believe Francis, but you don't ever want to believe anything Fury says.
Both said
This
there's
is
a rematch.
Here's the quote right here. Stop. Tyson Fury's 10-round fight with Francis Ngannou has a rematch clause involved for their bout next
Exactly.
month.
So this
Wait, let me
guy is making stuff up.
stop. Tyson Fury's 10-round fight with Francis Ngannou has a rematch clause involved for their bout next month on October 28th from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Although Fury said last week there isn't a rematch clause, apparently there is, and it's understandable. This is from Boxing News 24. So again,
Well, I don't know how much I hold that into.
I don't know. Now again,
Grain of salt. Grain of salt.
I'm just gonna say this.
Here we go, folks.
But it's a one-sided.
That's not moving
No.
goalpost.
No.
If Fury loses, it's a rematch.
All
clause.
I'm going to
That's the
say
condition.
this. I'm going to
That's the
say this. I am not saying there isn't a rematch clause, but because of Fury's statements, I'm going to question if there really is. Maybe they're trying to say there's a rematch clause to try to hype up and legitimize the fight even more, to make Ngannou look like there's more of a threat, but there really is. I'm going to be honest. If there is a rematch clause, there is. I will concede. I'm not 100% sure that there is. That's all I'm saying.
What is a one-sided rematch clause? If Fury wins, there won't be a rematch. I think that's the procedure. Unless Fury
Okay, but here's
It's like believing the stripper when she says you're hot.
No,
but stop. Stop.
You
Wait a
can
minute.
This
fantasize.
whole thing gonna work fine.
Wait.
I
Here's
didn't finish.
Wait.
There's probably no rematch.
Wait. Here's the article. They're taking a quote, Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou. I don't care. He said he's the one that's saying this. They're taking what Gareth Davis said, right? They're taking what Gareth Davis said, and they're using that as the source for their article. Now, again, am I going to just believe Gareth Davis, or am I going to need, if I call Bob Arum today, and ask him if there's a rematch clause, and he tells me no, is that going to be enough to say that there isn't a rematch clause? I don't know.
Well, Francis Ngannou also said there was too in the TMZ interview.
And Francis would never lie. Anyone that isn't Tyson Fury is honest and never tells lies, apparently.
If you want to take the word of a guy with bipolar who contradicts himself 24/7,
exactly. But there's as much proof that Francis isn't lying, that Fury isn't lying. It's boxing.
If there is a rematch clause, clause, it looks bad.
Is, man. I'm sorry. It is.
Okay. We got this on video, so if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But if you're wrong, you gotta admit it.
What other source do we have besides Gareth Davis that there's a rematch clause?
Francis Ngannou in the interview with TMZ. They both have. He said that. He said there.
Right, let's look it up.
They could look it up. He said it himself.
There's a rematch clause. This is the funniest shit.
It is. Yeah, I'm sorry. You may not like
you're going off of a quote from a guy that's not even. He's not in the room when they sign the contract.
But he signs a contract slide.
This is the problem, dude. It's the problem.
What are you talking about?
Because you guys act like you're in negotiations. You guys act like you're privy to secret facts that aren't knowledge.
Here's the quote. Here's the Ngannou quote. I'm going to read it. This is from TalkSport. This is Francis Ngannou's quote. Yeah, there is a potential rematch clause, but I don't know exactly how to explain that language. But yes, there is a rematch inside it. So he says there is a. So he says
that means wholeheartedly that you're right.
So let me ask you this: what does it mean when someone says there is a potential rematch clause, but I don't know exactly how to explain that language?
One-sided rematch.
What does that mean? What is potential?
That probably means that if Francis wins, then there's a rematch clause. I bet.
Yeah, one-sided rematch clause. That's all I'm saying.
But do you think that's going to happen though? That's the question.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I mean,
do you think that's going to happen?
So that's not even the point of the argument.
I don't
That's
know.
the point of the argument, dog. You move the goalposts exactly.
I don't know, Dan. I don't know what potential rematch clause means.
Yeah.
What's that? Is that a definitive rematch clause? I don't
know.
I'm going to potentially sell you a car, by the way.
So if there's a potential fight, does that mean the fight is signed? I don't know. Is that
so he didn't want to rematch?
Are we gonna take the word potential? Are we gonna take the word potential and are we gonna redefine that word and say that means definitive? I don't know.
Okay, well, if it is more likely, it's true. Wait, hold on.
Based on the information I have right now, I could say it's 50-50 whether there's a rematch clause or not. I don't know 100% certainty there's a rematch clause.
Yeah, you can take a position on that. If there is a rematch clause, guess what? It's a bad look for Fury.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Let me ask you this though.
You won't get no argument from me about that.
Yeah, but why would you rematch a guy who's never had a boxing day in his life in boxing Yeah, why would you
agree
do that?
1,000,000%.
We're not defending
Totally
it.
agree.
All I'm saying is, I don't know with 100% certainty that there is a rematch clause.
Yeah, Maestro, I know you talking shit in the chat, bro. Get on here. That's all I gotta say, bro. Get
I'll
on
let you.
here. Get on here, bro. Yeah, he
I'm
wants to talk about us, but you're repeating like a parrot. I'm like,
He
bro, get
might be.
on here.
Isn't he at school today?
No, he's not.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Focus on
okay.
teaching, bro. Yeah,
I was
focus
gonna
on
say if
teaching.
he's at
That's
school,
all I gotta
then
say.
he can't.
You guys make me laugh, but you
I know
guys will
exactly.
defend
By the way,
freedom.
Hamed, it's good to talk to you, man. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time.
I know.
Yo,
I've
I
been
Yeah.
listening though.
I just think this. Look, if he keeps fighting these guys like John Jones and Ngannou, I find it hard to defend him. But at the same time, I said this to Dan because Dan's a lot more critical. I can't blame him 100% because Mayweather did this with McGregor, although it's a completely different case. This is more of a problem, I think, in the sport of boxing because I don't see this in other sports. But in boxing, it seems like these crossovers and these mimic fights or whatever are starting to get more appeal than some actual fights. And that's what I don't like. And I do also criticize Eddie Hearn and AG a bit as well because they agreed to fight Dylan White where there was a Fury fight on the table. And now the Wilder fight's not even happening and the Dylan White fight backfired as well. So if they ended up taking the Fury fight, maybe we wouldn't have been here. That
Can I
all
ask,
started once.
can I ask the panel? Can I ask the panel a question?
Yes, sir.
And I hate the fact that we're not getting Fury Usyk. I hate it. I absolutely hate
That's
it.
what I want too.
It's the fight that I want. But let me ask you this. Are we going to get mad if we don't get Joshua Wilder? Are we going to get mad if we going to get
Hell
mad if
yeah, I am.
Are we going to
Well,
have this
I think that'd be
Are we going to
worse
have the
because
same energy if we don't get Usyk Wilder?
well,
Yeah, let me
Fury,
just say this. Let me
wait,
say this. Let me
Joshua
say this. The
Wilder.
Are we
homie.
going to have the same energy? Are we
Dan,
just going to hate when the fights with Fury don't happen?
No, but
Yeah,
wait,
let me just
Joshua
say this.
Wilder should have
Well, I'm
happened in
asking.
2017.
Can I ask one more
and
question? Dan,
debated
when you or Sly, when you corrected me about my incorrect statement about 600,000 US pay-per-view buys, did I concede the point? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
So that's
Yeah,
what
you
we
did.
do here. We're not ashamed to be wrong here. I am going to be wrong. Anyone that watches this channel, be prepared that I'm going to be wrong 50% of the time. Just be prepared. Just be
prepared for
prepared.
that. Yeah, there's no shame in being wrong. I mean, I admit that I've been wrong on
You
several
want to
occasions.
shame me for being wrong?
That's
Doing that, you're only wasting your time because I wake up every day embracing being wrong. Because guess what? You can never be right unless you're wrong first. That's how you learn.
Anyone who's been in a relationship for more than 10 years wakes up wrong every single day.
So you're never gonna diminish me or demean me in any way. Because guess what? I've had this channel. I've had this channel for fucking over 15 years. I'm not going anywhere. You think the thought of me being wrong is gonna stop me from talking? No, it's not gonna stop me. Go ahead.
Yeah, you need to tell that to that Papoose guy, man. That was a bit
he's sitting there telling me that the council members, which are his brothers, are gonna fight him, are gonna challenge him when people have the Crown Prince has thrown his own family in jail for disagreeing with him and fighting with him. And come on, bro.
But that guy contradicted himself yesterday, and
he's an idiot.
He ended up agreeing with, I don't know what the hell. It was hard to understand what he was even saying because I don't think he made much sense. I think this Fury thing, what's it called, Ngannou fight, could be successful, but I don't know about when people are saying it's going to be bigger than Mayweather McGregor because
Lord,
I don't know about that either.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Fury definitely don't have the appeal that McGregor had. Let me say this though, real quick.
Or Mayweather, he doesn't have either or.
Or Mayweather. No, you ain't gonna get an argument from me. But I just want to say this real quick because I think that it's something that I think everyone can agree on. Dana White in the UFC are absolutely, positively screwing over fighters. They're you want to talk about lowballing people. So when everybody, the whole world told Francis he's never going to get this fight, he's a bum, he's a ducker, he's afraid to fight John Jones, he's a puss, all this stuff. I'm really happy to see it. I'm happy again. I'd rather have Usyk, but I'm happy at the same time for Francis The guy took a dinghy across the Mediterranean Sea with nothing. He just had a dream to become a fighter one day and be successful. And I'm happy. I'm happy as hell that he. I couldn't be happier for him. You know, this guy. If anybody deserved a break, it's this guy. So, and to see Dana White, the pettiness. He actually. There's a Cameroonian fighter. There was two of them when he fought 2 weeks ago. When he came out, this is how petty Dana White is because he lost because he didn't get to make the fight. He put underneath that Cameroonian fighter as he was walking out to the cage the only only Cameroonian UFC fighter ever. That's how much they hated Francis Ngannou leaving them, and it's just a beautiful thing to see this. You know, again, I'd rather have Usyk, I'd rather have what everybody else wants, but I'm happy for Francis in this regard. I think he deserved a break.
So let me ask the question: does anyone believe that Wilder versus Joshua is going to happen?
No.
50-50.
No.
Okay.
Not
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is
blame.
that? Since we have to blame somebody all the time, whose fault is that? Because we have to play the.
I think it's more Eddie Hearn Matchroom side, and I made a video about this recently in a live stream.
You're blaming Matchroom. You're blaming Matchroom.
I got to subscribe to your channel, by the way. But I wanted to ask that. Well, no, seriously, we don't just because I don't agree doesn't mean I'm not gonna. Come on, it's boxing, man.
I blame the Saudis actually. Just like I'm.
Well, here's what I was going to ask about that, Joe.
Blame the Saudis for all four of these.
We all saw the tweet from Eddie Hearn about I thought AJ ducked you and all that shit, and I bought into that narrative. You know that Wilder never wanted no smoke with AJ. But after this, isn't it kind of hard to blame Wilder entirely? Like because everybody always blames. It's always Wilder's too afraid to fight. Da, 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 da. I heard from a couple people that the reason that the fight ain't happening is because Shelly Finkel wants too much money.
Yeah.
Well, look.
I never take a side when fights don't happen, and I'll tell you why. And this is just me. I'm in a union. Every 3 years, we negotiate for our contract. We're not really in a position of power because the city is a larger entity than us. They're the ones that cut the checks. We can only ask for things that they're willing to give us, right? So I have no problem, regardless of we want to go A side, B side. Everyone has a right to negotiate for themselves in good faith. So I'm never that guy that says, oh, well, he's the B side. He should just shut the fuck up and take. No, everyone has a right to ask for what they believe they're worth. So I'm consistent. I don't blame. I never take a side. I never say this guy's of ducking that guy. I don't play those games. I don't play those games.
No. I mean, I get you what you're saying, man. But my gripe is that look, what Wilder's been accused of, and rightfully so for many years, is that he kept using Anthony Joshua's name to promote his fights.
Which everyone
when he was a champion. Everyone does that. Yeah, everybody in history has done that. Ricky Hadden did that.
I'm using your name. I'm using your name right now to promote this video. Dan, I'm clout.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said though, many fighters have done it to the other fighters in many years and generations. I get that point, but the thing is, the problem is that after the Franklin fight, we were hoping that the talk about Wilder fight was going to be coming up, whatever, yada yada yada. They were all, people were getting psyched up. People were hoping for it. It just got to the point that what happened, you guys may not agree with this or not. We saw what happened to Tyson Fury's reputation when he did that with Alexander Usyk. Now, with Joshua, what he's doing or Joshua and Hearn, what they've done is that they kept using Wilder's name to promote 2 fights and 2 meaningless fights. And I get that Joshua needs to come back fights. He needs that to get his confidence back. But don't string fans along and tell fans that the fight's locked in. It's 100%. We got it. Just to promote one fight that, even though nobody did, even though it was a last minute replacement, but it was brought in as a contingent that the Wilder fight was next. But as soon as that Joshua has a bad performance against Hellenius, now they're looking the other side. It's like looking the other direction. Like, well, then we'll get back to it if we need to. That's what fans don't want to hear. Fans in situations like this feel they're being conned. Yeah, I know the Saudi situation is a surprising issue, but moreover, Eddie Hearn kept telling everybody the fight was locked in and was made. That's the problem.
To be honest with you, Dan, and this is all opinion. None of this is fact. To piggyback off what you just said, Eddie Hearn and probably the people in Saudi took a look at Joshua's last two fights. And
Right.
they said to themselves, do we really want to make this fight now if there's a chance that Wilder will blow this guy out in 3 or 4 rounds? Right?
Right.
Based on what we've seen right now, and a lot of people in the industry have said this, not just certain people. A lot of even Joshua's closest friends have said this. Like someone like Tony Bellew, who immediately said after the fight, based off of what I saw, I don't think Joshua is ready for Wilder. And a lot of people in the industry, a lot of fighters have said it. Right? Chisora was questioning in it. Kyle Froch was questioning it. Kyle Frampton was questioning it. A lot of fighters. So again, like the people, this stuff gets put out in the universe. People look at it, and I'm just going to be honest. I think Saudi really had second thoughts about making that fight based off of how Joshua's looked and based on the fact that we don't know what Wilder's going to look like being off for over a year, almost close to a year, I would say. So because that fight lost a lot of momentum based off of Wilder not fighting and based off of Joshua not looking the way people expected him to look in those two comeback fights. People expected. I bet that this. I actually bet the decision prop in that Jermaine Franklin fight, and I made a little bit of money. I picked him to go with this.
Yeah, you were right about that. You were definitely right about that. But I would say, go ahead, sir, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. My
This
bad.
gives me hope. I'll tell you what gives me a little bit of hope, though, a little bit of light with the Wilder AJ fight. Wilder and Ruiz didn't make a deal for the WBC eliminator, and I was thinking, and it's just like it's like the triangle shit, so I could be wrong, but maybe because he didn't make the deal, maybe he asked for more money because he thought, I'm not going to make any money with this one, so let me add more. Let me see if I can get what I can get. And I know that's a shot in the dark, but it's a possibility because whether people even though people are already saying it's over and everything, I'm telling you, man, people want to see that fight. Even in AJ's state right now, even though he hasn't looked that great. The only thing I'll give, and I don't like to make excuses for AJ, I will say though that he did take that fight on short notice too, and he was training for Dillian White, which is a totally different style. So, I really want to see that fight though, man. I really
let me just say this. I think right. Yeah. I was going to say to you, just to piggyback on your point, B. I think internally they assessed it, and to your point with the Saudis and the organizers and adherent Matchroom, even the Zone, because they also have an input too, because they're paying Joshua that lucrative, that lucrative contract. They probably all came together and came with a unanimous decision and agreement, and said, or consensus agreement, say, we can't afford to put this guy in the ring right now with likes of Wilder or Fury, because based off his last two performances, there's just no confidence there. But externally, people still want to see the fight because there's still a lot of people that believe Anthony Joshua can get back the mojo that he once had. So they still believe that. So there's still a lot of intrigue there. And also the point that people hold promoters and fighters to their word. You promised the fight was going to happen after this particular fight. And now we're not getting it. They felt they're being let down again. Yes, boxing will still move on. I get it. But we're in the age of social media. People are not going to forget this. They're going to keep trashing you until you get your shit together. Sorry to say that, as a fighter or even as a promoter. That's the thing.
They were just holding them accountable for what they said.
It only makes Fury bigger, just like Trump's being indicted 1,000 times. It's only making it bigger. It's the same.
It keeps his name at the top of the news.
Whether you're talking about him in a positive light or negative light, like D-Style said this to me yesterday. Like you don't think Fury's doing this on purpose? Because how else are you going to sell the fight with Usyk? Someone's got to be the bad guy.
Yeah, and I get it. And like I told you earlier this morning, and part of the reason why I think he has to be the bad guy, because the way it damaged his reputation, he was once perceived as a hero. So now it's like, okay, well, you know what? I got something else I could be back on. I could be the villain. I could be the Floyd Mayweather. I could be the Muhammad Ali. Yes, Muhammad Ali was a villain in his time. He was. So yeah, I can do that, and I can still make money. I can still draw people in to watch my fights, hoping to see I can get knocked out or lose.
I mean, can I address this comment? This is embarrassing. Does anyone really believe that Tyson Fury asked for $500 million in good faith?
Oh, come on.
Well, I mean,
no.
let's
I
be
was going to
honest.
say, I was going to agree with you, B, but
All
let me give you my point.
I
I
mean,
don't really think he was that serious, but for him to say that, yeah, it looks bad. But fact, Amir Abdullah
it's
even said
part of his
himself,
troll game. It's part of
but
his
yeah,
troll. Just like
yeah,
Jake Paul said, just like Jake Paul was saying that
yeah.
that is one of his fights did generate. He made like $30 million for one of his fights, which was, I mean, again, this is part of the troll game. If you're gonna
Yeah.
take I'm just gonna be honest with you. Anyone that takes what Fury says 100% serious, you're lying to yourself.
Well,
Skills
and that's what I
Well, I
said.
will say this though.
Yeah,
But Amir Abdullah during the negotiation with Usyk and with the Usyk fight to hell in Saudi Arabia, which Usyk had agreed to his end of the deal prior to that point, Amir Abdullah even said that Fury asked for way more money than the actual event. Now, I'm not sure it's 500 million, but he did ask for that to fight Usyk.
But
Way more than
either way, the deal was taken off the table when they
Is he priced himself out though? That's the
no,
thing. That actually
they
happened.
changed.
that's not what I heard
No,
either.
that's not
No,
true.
wait.
Bob Arum told me, he told me personally that they changed the date because of Ramadan.
We're not talking about the
Ramadan.
date. We're talking about what he asked for, the amount he asked for. We're
Yeah,
not
but it
talking about the
doesn't
date.
matter. Again, do you really believe? Do you really believe he wanted 500 million for that fight? Did you?
Wait,
Well, we do
that,
know he
come
wanted
on,
more than the
dude.
event. He wanted
We
more than
can't say
that.
we're dealing facts if you just want to believe that because you don't like the guy.
Can I
I'm
just
not
say
saying you're saying that. I'm not saying anybody in here is saying that.
Can we let's ask a legitimate question, because Bob Arum told me personally that there was never a contract drawn up for that fight. But again, do we know?
Can I answer that?
Do we know for 100% certainty that both fighters were given a final draft official contract with a date? You can't have a contract, Dan, unless a date is locked in. There was
Well,
never
Usyk
a
agreed
date.
to it.
This question.
Again,
Dan, let
Dan.
me
But
take
that's
this
the
question.
problem.
Dan,
Yeah.
there's what's called a term sheet. If both fighters agree to a term sheet is not a binding agreement. There was never. Here's the thing: if you have a binding agreement drawn up, right? One person signs their binding agreement and another person refuses to sign their binding agreement, then you can say that person officially turned down the fight. But here's the problem. There was never a binding agreement drawn up.
Well, let me
me
ask you
take this.
this. Let me ask you this. Usyk they negotiated with the fighters individually. So are
Correct.
you saying that Usyk didn't agree? Are you saying that Usyk didn't even sign any type of deal at all?
They both agreed to the fight in Wembley.
No, they didn't. No,
They
we're
both
talking about Saudi Arabia.
Yes, they did.
This is what I was trying to say earlier.
They both agreed to the 70-30 split, Dan.
We're talking about Saudi Arabia. I'm not talking about Wembley. Why are we moving away from Saudi Arabia?
Do you know for a fact that there was a written final draft binding agreement with a date locked in for a fight between Fury and Usyk?
Let me take that, man. Come on,
do you know for a fact?
Can't keep over talking.
Let Hamed do that. Yeah.
Let me just take this.
Okay, go ahead, man. Go ahead. I'm gonna stay quiet.
Amir Abdullah said the reason the fight didn't happen in Saudi Arabia, there was two instances. I think one was Ramadan, the other one was because of a stadium. Usyk agreed to his deal, but he said the reason the fight didn't happen, one fighter asked for too much money, and then he said we wanted to build a bigger stadium to accommodate that fighter, to generate more money or a bigger gate. Because if they could have built a stadium, I don't know, with 80 or 90,000 fans, they could have priced it at a higher price per ticket, and that maybe would have accommodated, I think, Fury's demands. But by the time
you don't know that the fight was off the table because of Fury, though. But you don't know that.
By the time they wanted the stadium built, that was going to be pushed back. So what Team Fury and Team Usyk tried doing was, after that deal collapsed, they wanted to try and fight, I think, at Wembley. But that was the reason why the whole stadium thing came into play, was because he said one fighter asked for too much money. I don't think Usyk was the guy who was asking for too much money. And that's why I posted the 500
But that's the thing. You can't, if you're talking about facts, though, you can't say, I don't think. Because listen, and this is where people get confused.
No, it's a fact. Fury said he wanted 500 million. Fury also wanted more money than Usyk, and Fury may have been offered.
It's not a fact that he wanted 500 million. We just debunked that.
Usyk wanted more. But wait, Hamid.
didn't Usyk want more money when he signed with Skills Challenge?
What are you talking about?
More
What's
money
that have
than
to
who?
do?
More money than
He
Fury?
won the skills challenge because he didn't get the Fury fight.
Like, here's
But
the problem,
But
guys.
the question
Here's the
of who
problem.
wanted
Let's
more money
just
out the
let's
two.
just cut through all the bullshit and let's stop pretending that these fighters are like William Wallace from fucking they're heroes and
But
they
I never
fight for
said that.
honor.
I'm not disputing
Everybody
that.
fights for money. So everyone really wanted more money because Usyk would not have signed with Skills Challenge in the hopes that the fight could have been made in Saudi or else the fight would have happened. Bob
I
Arum
agree.
told me.
I
Bob
agree.
Arum told me this out of his own mouth. He said the reason why the fight didn't happen was because both fighters wanted more money.
Yeah, I agree.
They
I
wanted
agree.
the fight to happen in Saudi.
They both
It's
got
that
greedy,
simple.
But the point is, Fury wanted more money than Usyk. That's the point. The deal structure in Saudi was
Of course
gonna
he
be
did
some
because
sort-
he's a bigger draw.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. I'm not mad at it, but I'm
No
saying
one's arguing that. The point
But
is he
here's the
priced
problem,
himself
though, too,
out
that
of
people
that
aren't. That people
situation.
keep talking. Fury, when he talked about the rematch clause, that he said the reason they didn't take it is because he wanted a rematch clause where he got 70-30. Egis admitted that, and Bob Arum admitted that, and Frank Warren admitted that, and he said that's
Well,
why he
the
didn't want to
point
do the
of this
fight.
whole
And
argument is that the guy
Yeah.
priced himself out. That's what happened.
the
I
That's what
don't
we're
think
all
initial
agreeing
fight in
to.
Saudi Arabia. We're talking about the
That's what we're
initial
all
fight
agreeing
Saudi
to.
Arabia.
Yeah, the guy priced
Initial fight.
himself out.
Look,
That's
the
what
one
we're
in Wembley.
agreeing.
Dan, the one in Wembley, me and you have disagreed because I think Usyk should have done a better job to angle for a 60-40 percentage, or
Right
even
now.
maybe bit the bullet and agreed to just a 50-50. Because if you're going to accept 30% in the first fight, you
hmm
can't turn around and then demand 70 in the rematch. That's what I didn't like about Krasik, Klimas, and
Yeah.
Usyk, and I've criticized Usyk.
Can I ask
no
you
one
a
could-
question? Can I ask everyone a question here? This is what destroys the whole argument, right? Anthony Joshua agreed to 60-40 with Tyson Fury,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And I have no problem with Usyk asking for the same 60-40.
Yeah.
But Anthony Joshua, is, even without having the belts, is still a bigger name, bigger draw. He made $8 million to fight Robert Helenius, while Usyk made $6 million in his last fight to defend his titles. So does anyone really think that Tyson Fury is going to agree to a 70-30 split in Usyk's favor in a rematch? Like when Usyk took 70-30 in the rematch with Joshua after beating him the first time. So again, here's the
No,
problem.
the rematch was 60-40 for Joshua for Usyk, wasn't it?
No,
Wait.
70-30.
No, it was 70-30. The
Well,
contingent was if
can I
he
say something
win.
about that? Yeah, it's
Well, he
weird.
says if
Well,
he,
here's the
he said if
problem.
he
Here's the
won,
problem.
he would get 70-30. He
Here's
wanted
the
to do the
problem.
same thing with Fury.
Well,
Here's
let
the
me ask you
problem.
this.
Here's the
Can I say
problem.
something real quickly,
Go ahead,
before you jump in? We're talking about this is where we have to question Tyson Fury's negotiation tactics, because if this was an issue of him wanting to get the higher split, should he have lost to Usyk in the rematch, he's still entitled to a higher split. Then why did he agree to a reversal split with the Wilder fight when they agreed to the second fight? Should the fight
It
the
was a
third
part
time?
of it was a part of the Top Rank contract.
Yeah, it was part of the deal.
That was a part of the Top Rank deal, and I'm not. I know a lot about that. He signed a multi-fight deal with one of the conditions being that he had to sign a rematch clause with Wilder for
Right, with
whoever.
the reversal.
Yeah.
The reversal of the split
Yes.
though.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
why did he agree to that, but not with the Usyk one? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Probably because
He took the
we're
rematch
not
clause.
in the room.
He wanted to take the rematch clause out altogether.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
he
Why
said
would?
that he
Well,
didn't
yeah,
want
I
to do the
get that,
rematch
but I
clause
get
after
that.
the first fight.
Well, I get that.
But
What I'm saying is that he eventually caved in with the Usyk rematch and said, you know what? If I lose, I still get the higher split. But why would you agree? Why would you want that? But yet you agreed to the split reversal with the Wilder fight. That's what I'm talking.
He agreed with Wilder that if he lost, Wilder could have the higher percentage. That's what that
Yeah,
deal was.
exactly.
With Usyk,
Yeah,
he didn't want to concede. Now, look, I don't think 50-50 was really that fair, because I think if Usyk had beaten him and had all the belts, even though I don't think belts always mean something, but after taking 30% in the first fight, I think 60-40 for Usyk in the rematch would have been a fairer deal, or at least they should have tried negotiating.
I can tell you this about Frank Warren.
Let's read the quotes.
Yep.
This isn't me. These are quotes from Team Usyk's side. Okay. All right. So this is promoter Alex Krusov confirmed the failure to Sky Sports Television, although Fury's co-promoter Frank Warren suggested the fight, which had been penciled in for April 29th at London's Wembley Stadium could still be salvaged. Usyk's side indicated WBA, IBF, WBO, IBO champion will now seek to defend his titles against Britain's Daniel Dubois, the mandatory challenger. Now, here's what it says. Said Usyk and Fury agreed last year to the fight for undisputed title after Britain. Fury's retained the title against Chisora. This is not my quote. The Usyk side pulled out of further negotiations as the Fury side never had enough and wanted to pull everything and all the rights to their side. Sky quoted Usyk's manager, Igis Klimas, as saying, I don't want to go into details as all the negotiations were confidential, but I can tell you one thing. When a fighter doesn't want to fight, he overpriced himself knowing that fight won't happen, right? He said they most likely forgot that Usyk is holding the majority of the belts in the heavyweight division, and Tyson just, again, that means nothing. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you. You could argue, right, that Usyk overpriced himself.
I think Usyk in the rematch overpriced himself. For that rematch clause, I agree with that. In the first fight, I don't think Usyk overpriced himself up. If he agreed to a 70-30, which was called on the day,
At the end of the day, though, they ended up pulling out. At the end of the day, Usyk pulled out of the last negotiations.
The point was the initial contract, the 70-30. Usyk agreed to that, and Fury tried lowballing him, and even
he tried moving the goalposts. Is that situation?
Even if you agree that Usyk only deserved 30%, there's an argument for that. Usyk still called his bluff, which I think Wilder, whichever one, they should have done the same thing 4 or 5 years ago, which neither side did. I think Wilder got a bit, maybe tried overpricing himself out, whatever. But the point is,
but every fighter overprices themselves. That's called negotiations. Is that not? Is that not though? It doesn't every fighter
agree to
technically doesn't every fighter overprice themselves when they enter negotiations?
But Usyk still agreed to the deal.
But then Usyk pulled out when Fury wanted to remove the rematch.
I agree, and I think
so you agree he moved the goalposts in that situation.
Everyone, Dan, the word negotiate in itself means you're constantly moving the goalpost. That's what negotiation is.
Yeah, when you constantly move the goalposts.
If I'm going to negotiate a deal with you, Dan, if I'm going to negotiate a deal with you, Dan, and you're going to negotiate a deal with me.
You're constantly moving the goalposts because you did not want to fight.
What people are neglecting here too is that
Dan. Here's the thing. You and I are going to sit down and negotiate. We have a business deal. I want what I want. You want what you want. Both sides are going to be constantly moving the goalposts. That's what negotiation is.
I agree with that.
That's called business, Dan. Tyson Fury didn't invent all this.
Fury didn't help himself by posting.
And Usyk didn't help himself by pulling out of negotiations and signing with Skills Challenge. He signed with Skills Challenge because he wanted.
Yeah, he signed with Skills Challenge.
Y'all gotta let Hamed finish his point, man. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, Fury didn't help himself by the collapse him by making that video and saying you're a dummy for accepted 30%. Like, what do you expect? What do you expect the guy to do if you're gonna say you only deserve 30% and then start ridiculing the guy for accepting the 30%? You can't win with that. So I think that was one factor that maybe
didn't I already say about 13 times in this video?
I said
in my opinion, the major reason
that sabotaged the fight.
But didn't I say that about maybe 1,300 times in this video already? That the reason why Usyk's side was so angry at Fury and they were so unreceptive because Fury disrespected him and disregarded him and diminished him. And I said that.
I keep saying this.
I've been saying that.
I heard you say that, but I also said the same thing, and I heard Hatman and other people say that. But that was when I'm just talking about. That was one of the reasons why I think Usyk's team went the other way. Doesn't that make the fight
bigger, Hamed? Doesn't that?
Of course it does, and that's the thing when people are like, "He shouldn't have talk mean about him." It's boxing.
No one,
for God's sake.
Should he really have not said that though? Because guess what Tank Davis said to Ryan Garcia
after he accepted all that the weight, the catch weight, the rematch.
Yeah, but they signed the
What
contract.
did he say?
Man. I'm
He was
saying this
he was
fight-
saying he's saying you signed the contract, dummy. Now you're complaining about it.
Usyk didn't
I
sign
mean, it's
the
part of the
contract.
game.
No,
Dummy.
Usyk didn't even sign the deal yet. But
Wait,
here's
Real
the thing,
quick,
though.
and
You
this is
guys,
another thing that I wanted to make a
Well, hold
point
on,
because
hold on,
nobody
hold
says
on.
this.
I'm gonna finish.
Real quick,
Usyk,
go ahead.
wait,
Ahmed.
Usyk didn't sign the contract. Usyk agreed to a deal. There's a difference between what Tank Davis was saying. Tank Davis offered, and his team offered Ryan Garcia those stipulations. Ryan Garcia agreed to the contract. After you agreed to it and you signed the contract, that's it. You can't play. You can't
Did
start
Usyk
crying
agree to
and doing that.
70-30? Did Usyk agree to 70-30,
agreed to the
Ahmed?
deal, but he didn't sign any
Okay,
contract.
so then he got
you
mad
said-
when Tyson
you said
Fury
the
made
same-
fun of him. You
said
can't
you
do
said-
Listen,
you- you
Frank
said
Warren,
yourself-
Frank
so
Warren,
basically,
Bob
you
Arum,
guys are admitting
Frank
that Tyson
Warren.
Fury moved the goalposts, right? So when
No,
when a guy's moving the
we're trying
No,
to
I am
again.
admitting it. I am admitting it because guess what, Dan?
goalposts.
Negotiations.
You're saying he ducked, and we're saying he ducked.
Negotiations.
Yeah, when a guy's moving all the goalposts, he's ducked the fight. That's what you guys are admitting right
I
now.
think they
Oh.
both. I think they
Dan,
both.
Again,
I think they
hence
both-
proving you just hate Fury.
Please stop. Please stop.
Now you just guys are admitting it. That's what you're doing. So thank you
You're
for proving our
admitting
point.
it. You're admitting it.
Of course I'm admitting it because guess what, Dan?
Go ahead.
Like-
Go ahead.
Of course I'm admitting it. We both agreed that that's what people do in negotiations. Everyone moves the goalposts. Include Usyk moved the goalpost when he asked for a 70-30 split in a rematch clause. That's what Dan, this is what negotiations is. If I'm having someone negotiate on my behalf and they're not constantly moving the goalpost to favor me, guess what? They're getting fired tomorrow. They're getting fired tomorrow, man.
Yeah,
That's
so Fury
what-
got fired. So he's the one
real
reason.
quick.
So he's the reason why the fight didn't happen.
No,
Thank
Let
you.
me say
Thank you
this
for
real
proving
quick,
my
'cause
point.
nobody-
Thank you for proving my point, y'all. Thank
No,
you.
you're just okay. You're just making up shit now. Like I said though, I keep trying to say this shit.
The reason
No,
why the fight didn't happen, Dan, the reason why the fight didn't happen
Mhm.
is because both men outpriced themselves. That's
Bob Arum,
okay.
Bob Arum.
So
But see,
Winky
it's
Wright.
all
So
about
basically,
narrative
Winky
with
Wright is
Dan.
also responsible why Floyd Mayweather fight didn't happen. Is that what you're saying?
probably
Because as I recall,
I mean,
Floyd did the same thing. He
Dan,
kept
guess
moving
what?
the goalposts in that situation, and
Guess what?
Winky eventually walked out.
Dan, guess
This
what,
is
Dan?
this is
Guess what,
business.
Dan?
This is
Guess
what kills me
Dan?
about this.
Guess what,
It's
Dan?
business,
Dan?
man.
Guess what, Dan? Guess what,
Uh-huh.
Dan?
Mm-hmm.
There was a deal on the table for Shakur Stevenson to fight Devin Haney and accept 25%. Guess what?
Guess what? What's up?
Both guys overpriced themselves because if here's the thing, if I think I'm worth a certain amount and you think I'm worth a certain amount, and what is being offered to both of us isn't what we want, it's lower than what we want. By definition, we are both overpricing ourselves, Dan.
Okay.
Is that
Well,
right or
and-
wrong, Dan? Dan, is that right or wrong? By
Mhm.
definition, are we both overpricing ourselves? Now you
You're
can
right.
have an opinion. Now, in your opinion, which I will wholeheartedly respect,
Mhm.
you feel as though Tyson Fury lowballed Alexander Usyk. Guess what?
Mhm.
I'm 100 and I'm 100% in agreement with you.
Thank you.
But guess
Mhm.
what?
Yes, sir.
Everyone who has leverage and is in a position of power lowballs the person with less leverage. When we sit down every 3 years to negotiate our contract with the city, we are lowballed. And they'll give us our contract and we will say, nah, 2%, we want 3. Nah, 10 vacation days, we want 12. So that's
always meet in the middle.
that is business, Dan. So for
Yeah.
me to sit here and just say that Tyson Fury invented this game, because Tyson Fury isn't negotiating. His team is negotiating for him. He has a management team negotiating for him, right? Now, if he wants to say, I want this fight at 60-40, that would be great. And in my own honest opinion, I would love to see Usyk get at least 40%.
Thank you.
Purely from a boxing standpoint,
love
just
him,
based off his accomplishments alone, I agree.
But if I'm in Tyson Fury's shoes, guess what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I got Anthony Joshua accepting 60-40. Anthony Joshua is arguably the second best, at least you can even argue he's on par with me in terms of marketability. He's accepted 60-40. This other guy's stepping in here. He's not even nowhere close to what me and Anthony Joshua. I understand why he asked, why Fury's team asked for 70-30. Whether I
Mm.
like it or agree with it, I understand the argument, Dan. That's
Right.
what I'm saying. I understand.
Also,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
interview you did with Bob and the other people too, something that they both said that made a lot of sense. And it's easy to run away with a narrative too on YouTube when you can clip one part of a clip and go, look at what he said without watching the whole interview. Bob and Frank said, we don't want to negotiate this in the media. He goes, because the second that we said we wanted something, that which is what they opened with, that became what the narrative was.
Well, it's funny
And
for them to say that because their guy Tyson Fury was doing that the whole entire time. So
that's exactly my point. They were talking. That's who
yeah,
do you think they were
so
talking about?
yeah, that's
That's my
exactly
point.
what they did. That's what he did.
Because Egas came out and said, "There's no way we're worth more than 30%." That's my whole point. And Bob, when Bob interviewed Maestro, it's on his channel. He
I
said,
see it.
"We're not going to negotiate this shit in the media.
Yeah,
We're going
exactly.
to,
Well,
we're
they
going
need to
to,
tell
you
Tyson
know."
Fury to stop doing that because that's
Well,
exactly
I
what
mean,
he's doing.
But Usyk was doing that too.
But again,
That's exactly what he was doing. So
And Usyk was
why
doing
were we
it
getting at
too.
this?
Dan, guess what?
Usyk wasn't negotiating in the media, apparently. He didn't come on and say, greedy belly, I'll take whatever you give me.
Well, it's funny though because like
It's
I
a
said, it goes
two-way
back to my
street.
point. It goes back to my
It
point, stringing
goes back
everybody
to my
along.
point.
Yeah, but
It's the
he's
same
stringing
thing. It's
everybody
like playing
along.
ping pong.
Well, yeah,
Dan,
when you
the
lie to
argument,
everybody and
Dan,
tell everybody you're training for that fight and you weren't, the
Again,
only traitor
you
even told
gotta
you said you
stop
was
that
straight.
because you're just
No,
showing how biased you are.
no, it's not
Dan,
biased. It's the
Dan,
truth.
You want to
Dan,
defend
He
one
said that.
guy and you want to
No,
criticize the other.
well, Sugar Hill. So Sugar Hill's lying
Go
about
ahead.
it.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Is Sugar Hill lying about that? No, I'm asking Sly. Is Sugar Hill lying that they were
Nut
never training for
huggers
that fight?
don't criticize the
No,
nuts they
Answer the
hug.
question. Was Sugar Hill lying
No,
about that?
nut
Answer the
huggers
question.
don't
Was Sugar Hill
criticize the
lying?
nuts they hug.
Let
Answer
me
the
get in.
question. Was
Dan,
Sugar
let me
Hill
get in.
lying about
Dan,
that situation?
I'll answer the question for you.
No, I want Sly to answer it. Let
I'll
him
answer the
answer it.
question for you.
Come on, B. Let him answer it. Let him answer it.
Tyson
I don't even know what the
Fury.
question is.
Tyson
Was
Fury.
Sugar Hill lying about the fact that they were not training for that fight the whole time? Yes or no?
No, he's not lying.
Thank you.
No.
Thank
Why
you.
do you
So
think
why
this
we
is what's so
arguing?
crazy? You think you got all these gotcha questions when we agree with you. But the
can I
problem is that you can't admit anything on the other side because you're up
I
the
did.
dude's ass.
I did.
Let me explain something to you, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson Fury, by design, is a habitual liar. Name me one internet troll who isn't a liar. Is Jake Paul a liar?
Everybody's a liar.
Is Logan Paul a liar?
But it's only bad when Fury lies.
So
no, it isn't. It's bad when Floyd Mayweather
You don't
lies.
criticize those other guys when they lie. And that's what I was saying earlier.
Sly, hold up. It's
Hold on,
bad
let
when
Joe
Eddie
go. I
Hearn
keep interrupting
lies.
Joe. Go ahead.
Let me finish. By design, Tyson Fury is a liar, right? By design, Tyson Fury is a troll. The reality of this situation is both fighters wanted to fight each other in Saudi because both fighters knew that it was the biggest fight for them, had the most amount of money if it was in Saudi. Bob Arum said this to me. He said it to Maestro. He said it 1,000 fucking times that both fighters wanted this fight in Saudi. Both fighters wanted the most money they can get. Tyson Fury lied. He said crazy things, and Tyson Fury is going to continue to lie. He's going to continue to say crazy things. It's never going to end. But guess what's going to happen, Dan? People are still going to buy the pay-per-views. People are still going to write
to that point.
They're still going to write articles about Tyson Fury. They're still going to do Netflix specials. They're still going to do WWE events. They're still going to buy his books, and we're still going to make videos about him. This is the second video in 2 days I made about him. This is the second video that you've probably made 1,000 videos of him. So
I made 1,000 videos of every fighter, but yeah, that's a good point.
He can, by him lying, by him being the bad guy, it's not going to hurt his image. It's not going to hurt his pop. I rephrase that. It may hurt his image. It's not going to affect his popularity.
No, I think
it's not going to affect his money.
It's declined a bit.
But this is the problem, though, and this is what I was saying earlier. You only look at it as me.
His popularity has skyrocketed because he's getting a second season of the Netflix special.
Really? When did that get renewed?
They've already. It's public. It's public.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I have to take a look at that, but okay. But anyway, it's funny though because I find that's very interesting about that is that why did they close off that first presser to the public? That's weird.
What presser?
The Ngannou
There
and
must
Fury.
be something mischievous going on because someone I hate did something.
Well, that's unusual.
But no, it's not. Look.
What is
It
what
is
that?
unusual.
But
We
Dan,
keep
what is
making
that?
the point over and over and over again.
So
It's unusual. Why did he do that?
Is that going to hurt pay-per-view buys, Dan?
Well,
Yeah.
it could, because he could be heckled in that. He could be heckled.
In your own honest opinion,
Yeah.
do you really believe that that's going to hurt pay-per-view buys because they closed it off to the public? Yes.
Well, first of all, I don't know about that, but what I believe is that he's worried what the public is going to say to him and what they're going to ridicule him for avoiding the Usyk fight.
But Dan, this is the same thing they did with Trump. Oh, he asked for two scoops of ice cream, so he's a fucking idiot. I mean, we're looking for needles
Hold on,
now.
Joe. Check this out, Joe. Check this out. Remember when Fury said that he signed the deal with Joshua and it's locked in for the Saudi?
He lied about that.
Wait a minute, I'm getting there. We have the money. Everything's been proven. I can't wait to fight him. And then the next day, Wilder won the case. Every single Dan the man on YouTube, Fury's a duck. He's a cheater. He's a scumbag. He's a liar. And guess what?
He's a duck.
Fury versus Wilder 3 was one of the best fights in heavyweight history. One of the highest selling of the 20. I mean,
he is a duck.
He's a liar. He's a duck. He's a cheater. And then he goes and fights Wilder again, and everybody watches it. I'm not watching it. Everybody watched it. So I mean, it just proves your point.
He is a ducker and a liar.
You hate the guy. Like I said, hating this guy is what gets these guys out of bed.
Well, let me get this straight. So he is a ducker. It is a proven fact. He's a ducker. He's a liar.
Everybody you love doesn't duck, but everybody you hate is a ducker.
Wait, hold up, Sly, hold up. So he's failed multiple drug tests.
Do you know what therapeutic use exemptions are? Do you know what therapeutic use exemptions are?
Let me finish. You're not going to
because AJ gets those. Wilder
gets
interrupt
those. You're not. You
lots
using
of
the
boxers get therapeutic use exemptions. So I mean,
a liar and a cheater. He is a liar.
Yes,
he has failed multiple drug tests, and he's proven to duck many fights. Why?
He hates him so much that he loves debating people about how much he hates him.
All right, I rest my case. You rest my case.
You don't rest your case. You just hate the guy.
I rest my case.
Just
You're
admit
in denial,
it.
brother. You're in denial.
Stop. You guys swing in air every time he does well. You're like,
he is a serial liar.
He's
also a proven drug cheater.
He's a drug cheat. I hate his guts.
But Dan, everything you said is 100% factual. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
He's still the most popular fighter in the heavyweight division.
Okay, I can agree to some of those sentiments. I agree.
In spite of everything you said, right? He's still the most popular fighter in the heavyweight division currently.
Okay, I can agree with that at the moment. I agree with that.
So
at the moment,
has all those things you said in the grand scheme of things really hurt his career financially?
No, I will say this. Let's go this a little bit of a chronological order here. He redeemed himself with the Wilder fights, and I give him all praise for him for that. Never criticize him for that situation.
Correct.
All praise. He did. But my problem is that he threw it all away with the way he behaved in that Usyk situation. Threw it all away. You worked hard to get back to to this position, and you he's still a top guy. Don't get me wrong, but your image is bad, man. And now what I always say this is best. I say at best is that sometimes all that money can't buy you respect. You have to earn that respect along with the money. That's the way it goes. Okay? Yeah, you can go around.
I couldn't imagine.
Wait, hold up. You can go around and say that I'm criticizing people like Carl Froch and Tony Bellew that hey, they never made the purses I made. Combine their careers. That's fine. You can use that as a cop out because at the end of the day, Carl Froch is a 10 times way better fighter than you ever be. He's more respected. He is. He's a Hall of Famer.
Carl Froch never ducked anyone, right? He never ducked. He never ducked Joe Calzaghe.
No, Joe Calzaghe ducked that fight.
See what I mean? Like you
what are you talking about? Joe Calzaghe
the point I'm trying to prove is that I can do that with any boxer.
Sly, you can say any of them was a ducker. Bro. Carl Froch didn't avoid that fight.
You could say that Carl Froch put something in his gloves when he fought Lucian Butte.
Oh my God.
It's on video. My hands are heavy.
Froch did not avoid Joe Calzaghe. Calzaghe avoided that fight.
But that's the thing. I have just as much proof as you do.
That's where you're lying. Because first of all, Calzaghe ducked that fight. No, I gotta say that. No, I gotta say this. Calzaghe ducked the fight. He vacated the belt when Froch was mandatory. Yeah, he did. He avoided the fight when Carl Froch was mandatory.
No,
he did.
No,
he did.
Absolutely not.
That is true.
Dan,
Even
can I
Hamed can tell you that. A
can I
big
get-
Joe
Alternate
Kawasaki
reality.
fan.
Alternate reality.
Hamed can tell you that. He's a big Joe Kawasaki fan. He could tell you that. That happened.
Hamed
So you don't know what you're talking
and
about.
him were both under Frank Warren when that happened.
All right, I
Both
gotta
Oh,
of
get
you
in.
don't
them.
know what you're talking about.
I gotta
Carl
get
No,
in.
Froch was
absolutely.
IBF
They both were under
mandatory.
Frank Warren when it happened.
All right, stop 1 second, please. Dan,
Mhm.
everything you're hitting it out of the park right now with when you all this criticism of Fury.
Mhm.
I'm the biggest Fury fan of all time, but you're hitting it out of the park. He failed drug tests.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
He did not honor his rematch clause with Klitschko. He stepped away from the sport because, in my opinion, he was going to get stripped. If he didn't vacate, he was going to get stripped because he was under investigation by UCAT. Right.
Mhm.
That's correct.
Right.
He did say a lot of things about Usyk that made him look bad, that made him look like he was disrespecting somebody that shouldn't have been disrespected. He
Yeah.
did make the situation worse in the public view, in the public eye, and the public view by saying all those things that you said he said.
Mhm.
All those things are true. But at the end of the day, Tyson Fury is the Donald Trump of the heavyweight division.
I agree.
The more shit,
That's a
the
good
more
analogy.
the more shit that gets dumped on this guy, the more popular he becomes. And he's seeing that. So guess what he's going to keep doing? He's going to keep winding people like you up, keep getting people like you angry. And all it's doing is it's going to be just like how many people watched Mayweather to see him win, and how many people watched Mayweather to see him lose? This is the heavyweight version of the Mayweather effect.
I would agree to disagree because Tyson Fury doesn't have that same international appeal that Floyd Mayweather had. So there's two different arguments there.
Floyd Mayweather didn't cherry pick.
No one has what Floyd Mayweather has. No one has what Floyd Mayweather has.
Yeah.
But we can agree that there are some. They're not the same, but we can argue there are some similarities in terms of public perception of both men. Because to this day, we still have people that can't stand Floyd Mayweather, that can't stand people mention him as the best of all time.
He's one of the greatest. I don't like Floyd, but he is one of the greatest fighters of all time. I have to concede to that point. He is one of the greatest. But why would I?
Top 10.
Now I wouldn't say top 10. I don't know about that.
But some people say his diehard fans and a large contingent of boxing fans say he is the best.
Yeah, that's their opinion. But at the end of the day, I'll disagree with that, and I'll present undisputable fact why he isn't the greatest. But that's everybody's opinion. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
This is another objective fact. Yes. Fury has not accomplished half of what Mayweather has achieved.
Or neither is Carl Froch, and I'll tell you that. I'll debate anybody on that. So
I will concede that as well.
Thank you.
But here is the thing. Right now, what Fury is doing is making himself become popular. He's monetizing the hate. That's all I'm saying. He's monetizing the hate.
Yeah, I agree with you, but he has no choice after what he did to Usyk, so that's why he's doing it.
My God, why are you treating Usyk like he's a baby or something? After what he did to Usyk, it was messed up, man.
I know it hurts your feelings that your guy is no longer revered that he once was. I know it hurts your feelings.
You're treating him like he's a Fabergé.
I know you're emotional, man. God
dude,
damn,
emotional. You're the guy that's defending Usyk every time I say one word about him.
Nah, I'm not that emotional, bro.
You get in your feelings, man.
You're so in your feelings, bro. Let it go. Once the man loses his fight, damn, maybe we won't see you again.
Usyk stupid.
Hey, bro. Once Tyson Fury's gone and he loses, we probably won't see you again. That's how emotionally invested you into that guy. Yeah.
If you want to go on it, any other boxing knowledge, I'll be more than happy to prove my point.
The only time you ever appear here is whenever we talk about Fury. That's the only time you ever come on here. So come on.
Absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. But it's funny too, because the only time you're here is when you want to talk shit about Fury.
No, I'm here all the time.
Let me just say something, Dan.
Uh-huh.
No matter what Tyson Fury says to Alexander Usyk, he's going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. He's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, though.
He's worried about the
opinions of Dan. I'll tell you what, though. Usyk right now, if he retires today without fighting Fury, he would be viewed as an all-time great. more than Fury
Yeah,
I
will.
don't know about
I
all
agree.
time, but he would be in there. He'd be close.
No, he
I don't know
will.
about all time,
No,
though.
he is.
Dan,
No, he
Dan,
is.
Dan,
He is.
Dan.
And you're
Both
calling
guys-
me a fanboy.
Dan,
Now that's the
Dan,
truth. He has a
Dan,
record to
How
prove
is
it.
he not an
Dan,
OC?
Dan,
He
Dan,
has a record to
Dan,
prove it.
both,
That's
He
not
has a
fanboying.
cruiserweight
Dan,
record to prove it.
wait a
No, he has an
Not
all-around record to
heavyweight.
prove it.
Fights are
No,
He
he has
beat
an
a
all-around
guy.
record.
Dan, Dan,
Oh, sorry,
Dan,
sorry.
Sly, hold on, Sly.
Yeah.
Dan, let's be honest. Both guys retire tomorrow. They both walk into the Hall of Fame.
Usyk would be
No.
considered all-time great, though. As a cruiserweight, second, arguably the
Absolutely.
second great.
Well, he
Wait,
won a
let
gold
me
medal. He won a gold medal too, so we got to give him that.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
got
Gold
over
medal.
400, about over
Absolutely.
350 amateur fights. So
Both
yeah, the
guys-
man is up there.
Undisputed
Both
cruiserweight
guys walk
champion.
into the Hall of Fame. Both guys
Yeah,
walk into
but
the Hall of
Usyk's
Fame.
already accomplished the same as Fury has as a heavyweight. Fury's never become undisputed. Neither has Usyk. Usyk has done that at a cruiserweight.
I agree.
And
I
yeah,
agree.
but I'm saying
All true.
the
All
accomplishments
true.
as a heavyweight are pretty much similar. But the guy has also cleaned out the division below a cruiserweight. The only guy to win
That's a fact.
all the belts in the
That's a
4-belt era at
All
cruiserweight.
facts.
At
All
cruiserweight.
facts.
Absolutely.
I think they're both great fighters. Look, my only thing is this, Dan. I do think you're going a bit over the top, though. I disagree with some of the things. Like, I don't know about the Froch Fury situation because Froch was never lineal champion. Fury was. Fury beat Klitschko, who was a Hall of
I'll give
Famer.
him that. I'll
And
give him that.
I think maybe Ward is the only fighter you could compare to Klitschko. I don't even know if Ward was greater because of his resume. I know Klitschko got knocked out a couple of times, but I think Klitschko beat better fighters overall than Ward. But Froch wasn't. I think he unified titles, but I don't know if that was the regular. And he wasn't
Yeah, but
lineal champion. I do.
It's hard to do it for Ward too because Ward had. I mean, I don't know anybody that talks boxing that thinks that Ward beat Kovalev in the first fight.
That's still a
I don't know
debate.
anyone.
No,
There's still a debate.
I actually think Ward did beat him in the first fight.
Yeah, there's a debate.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know any besides Joe. I mean,
I do. I think he won that fight. I thought he
Second
squeaked it.
he definitely evened it up. I just thought the knockdown separated him by a round.
I
The
thought
second-
Kovalev won 7-8 rounds. But wait, forget that's.
Well, let's go down. Let's go down Carl Froch's resume. Let's go down. Let's go into deep detail. Let's do that. Let's do that right now. Let's do it right now.
I'm saying this: the two
Uh-huh.
wins over Wilder, the Klitschko fight, that on his own, I think, is more. I agree with you in terms of Froch fought the more consistently top 10 fighters and the better fighters. But if you look at Froch's resume, and I'm not a fan, so maybe I am being slightly a bit biased. But the guy he lost to Kessler, who was coming off an eye injury, and one side he lost to Ward. He also had to rematch older Kessler to beat him. The same guy Calzaghe beat like 6 years prior, and he arguably got a gift against Darrell. And I think maybe his biggest win is Butte. You could argue that was a very good win, but I do think.
Well, let me go down let me go down the deep resume in detail. Hold up, let's go down his deep resume. He beat John Pascal when he was undefeated. Now that same John Pascal went up to light heavyweight and became the lineal light heavyweight champion who beat Jack
But
Dawson.
the time he fought
beat that.
was
Wait. Hold up. No, that was that same Pascal. That Pascal was his prime. That was a prime Pascal when he fought. It was undefeated when he fought him.
I would say he was more on the come up though because he became the champ later.
You can make an
argument. Wait, hold up. Hold up. Let me finish my point. Let me go down his resume. Let me go down his resume.
Make an argument that Carl Froch is the second best super middleweight of his era.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest super middleweights of all time. That's a fact.
I agree. He's in my top 10.
He beat Butte. I mean, he beat Butte, a fight nobody thought he could win. Okay, he beat him. Okay, he beat Pascal. He beat Jermaine Taylor. He beat Arthur Abraham. I mean, come on.
There's only one guy. There was only one guy in that division really better.
He didn't beat those Andre Ward. Yeah, Andre Ward. He didn't beat him.
He did lose to Kessler. I thought he lost to.
He lost to Kessler when he won the rematch.
Won the rematch
against a guy who was even older, who was like way past his prime. And
Kessler's a great super middleweight.
Kessler's still a great fighter, though, man.
Kessler was a top 3 or 4 best super middleweight.
Right, but that was not the same Kessler that Ward and Calzaghe.
You don't know that.
Look at the way those guys.
It's good enough to be.
Look at the way Ward and Calzaghe beat Kessler in the first fight.
Calzaghe had a tough fight with Kessler. It was like
Yeah. That was a closer
I don't
fight
think-
than
it
people
was
make it
an
out to
eight-
see.
That was an eight.
What
That was
about
an
8
8
or
to
9?
4. That was an 8 to 4, 7-5 type fight for
No, I don't think
Calzaghe.
it's 7-5. 8-4-9-3. I think I could see
8
it.
4
But
7-5. Come on,
it wasn't 7-5.
you're
Man. That
very
was not.
biased. I
Kessler
can smell.
admitted
I can
himself.
smell
he
the
lost.
bias right now through the camera. But go ahead.
Anyway, look, all right, I'll give him credit for the Kessler fight, but the way the George Groves first fight ended and the way he was getting dominated, I have got quite a lot of question marks. I don't think he accomplished what Calzaghe did or even Hatton did. Although
I think Calzaghe would have beat him. I think Calzaghe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kawasaki would have beaten him, but if he had taken that fight, then okay, well, it's what is a lot of ifs, could, should have, whatever.
I can't blame Calzaghe too much in that situation because Froch himself wanted, I think, more money, and at that time,
No, it wasn't about. It was not about money. Stop. Calzaghe, in defense of Carl Froch, Calzaghe was at the end of his career. And he saw no need to fight Carl Froch.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he vacated the belt and retired.
He knew he was
That's
coming
exactly
to the
what he did.
end. He moved up to 175 because he didn't want to fight Carl Froch.
That was not a big money fight at the time. Froch had fought nobody outside.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. We all know that.
Joe Calzaghe moved up to fight Roy Jones and Bernard
Hopkins.
Bigger money fights. In bigger money fights.
No, wait,
and Carl Froch himself said, "I have no problem with Calzaghe doing what he did. It made more sense. It made the most sense."
Yeah, so I can't call that duck because Dan was saying I agreed with.
Yeah,
well, he's IBF mandatory. He was an IBF mandatory. He was mandated to fight that guy. He chose not to do it.
WBC mandatory, but
yeah, he chose not to do it. So how's that a duck?
Let me ask you this, Hamad. Hamad, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Ahmed. Ahmed, let me ask you this. Ahmed, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Ahmed. Would you consider Carl Froch a legend in UK super middleweight boxing history? Yes or no?
No, I don't really like him, but I think.
Well, you hate the guy. Oh no, I don't really like Tank. But guess what? That guy is the most popular. That guy is the most popular guy from 135 down.
Well, he's a Hall of Famer. He got into the Hall of Fame. Then, like Dan saying, he must have.
Well, you would have if you had a vote. You know what you would have said? You would have checked off no, and you would have put in parentheses, "I don't like the guy." You know what they would have done? You know what they would have done? They would have taken your vote and they would have flushed it down the toilet because of your bias.
No, wait. The question is, what Hall of Fame first ballot? Maybe I don't know, but it was like 5 or 6 or 7 people.
Carl Froch is a legend. Carl Froch is a legend,
man. You're going to build.
No, come on, man. Carl Froch is one of the greatest super middleweights we've ever seen, not just in the UK, but overall.
Yeah, I agree. As a British,
I'm going to tell you a Carl Froch story. I'm going to tell you a Carl Froch. The first time I saw Carl Froch ever fight, right? I even saw this fight before I saw the Lucien Butet, not the Lucien Butet, but before I even saw the Jean Pascal fight. I saw this fight first. This was back, I believe, in 2009. Was it 2012? I believe, when he fought Jermaine Franklin. Not Jermaine Franklin. I mean
Jermaine Taylor.
Jermaine Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my head's all over the place. I apologize. Yeah. He fought Jermaine Taylor, right? When he fought Jermaine Taylor back in 2009, right? I was there live. And I'm sitting next to a guy. Could have been his family member. Could have been his friend. He was a guy he was a British guy. And I was saying to myself, because Taylor was taking him to school.
Taylor right? Piecing him up.
He's piecing him up. He was way ahead, right? I think Froch may have won 2 or 3 rounds up into that point.
Yeah.
All right, let me finish the story. You're killing it. So I'm watching it. I turn over to this guy, and I say, Taylor's just too fast. And you know what this guy said to me? This was like in round 8, 9. I said this. The guy said to me, he goes, just wait till the end. Just wait till the last couple rounds. You'll see. Right? That's what he said to me. And then Carl Froch comes on and knocks this guy out in Connecticut on foreign soil. Right? Knocks this guy out. Highlight reel stoppage. Right? After being knocked down in the fight, after being pieced up in the fight.
That was impressive.
I said to
the
myself,
cardio on that man is fucking legendary.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, this guy's special. And the guy looked over at me, just gave me a blank stare, and I had nothing. I had nothing. I looked like I just saw a ghost. I was embarrassed. There was nothing I could say at that point.
I'll be honest with you, I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, whoa, what just happened? I
Taylor-
mean, seriously,
I want
what just
Taylor to
happened?
win, but
Let's
I
look at the
did not
average-
watch that. I didn't
And
Let's
at
look
that point, too, Taylor wasn't known to gas like that at the very last minute. At that point, but ever since then, that's kind of the MO he had.
Well, I don't know about that. He gassed in the Kelly Pavlik fight, the first
Yeah.
fight, that is. He gassed then
But his
and got
condition
knocked
with
out.
Pavlik was better because I thought he may have got a draw in that fight. Like, I'd have to rewatch it because I think the consensus was Pavlik won that. But that rematch was a close fight. I think what happened in the first fight mentally affected him because I think he should have went for it when he dropped Froch in the third or second round. But I gotta admit, I was a big Taylor fan, and that kind of broke my heart. I haven't rewatched that fight too many times.
No, you weren't a big Taylor fan. You were just a Froch hater at that time.
Yeah,
Just admit
You
it.
got to give that to Taylor. He fought every second, every round. He never tried
Well, to be
to.
fair, I mean, Ahmed has given Carl Froch some bit of credit. He has given him some credit, so I wouldn't say he's completely a hater.
Let me ask you a question.
no,
Hamid.
I don't like.
Let me ask you a question, Hamid. Be honest. Be honest. Hamid, be honest. Did Carl Froch steal your girlfriend from you when you were younger?
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
Messed up.
That's messed up, man.
No, it's the same reason a lot of people don't like Fury because he talks a lot and he kind of.
You at a club one day. Were you at a club one day? You were talking to a girl. You were getting ready to go home with her, and as you were exiting the building, did Carl Froch, was he out front with a Lambo, and he just motioned to that girl to come over, and she just left with him? Did that happen? Just be honest.
Of course, I'd try to do it, but I don't think I'd be able to do anything against Froch in a bloody fight, man. If that's what you're trying to say.
I'm talking about at a club. Did he take a girl away from you? That's what I'm asking you.
Well, obviously, I'd probably do some, but I don't think that'll end well for me, man. If that's what you try, look, this one.
I'm not saying it's going to get physical. I'm just saying he's just going to say, "Come on over here to the girl," and just pull her away from you. Like she's just going to go with him. That's all.
Of course, I'd have a problem with.
I'm not familiar with. I'm not familiar with those types of situations. But I'm just asking you. That's all.
Look, I've given him credit. I don't like the guy, but I've not went overboard with. I just think, look, he should have maybe fought a light heavyweight as well, and I do think he ducked Adonis Stevenson because he had.
Oh yeah, he ducked that fight. Yeah, I'll agree with you there. He ducked that fight.
He admitted to Steve Bunce out of his own mouth. So this is not opinion. It's a fact. He said that him and Robert McCracken looked at it, and Adonis Stevenson was a risky fight. So they ended up fighting. I think it was Yusuf Mack, and then they fought. It was Kessler in a unification, but he was gonna get, I think, stripped if he didn't unify with Kessler because Adonis was his mandatory, and he didn't want to take that fight. So I do have some question marks. Look, he did accomplish a lot. He did achieve a lot. He did fight a lot of top 10 contenders. But I do think you could, just like any other fighter, I do think you could nitpick and criticize some of his whatever fights and even his record because he didn't really ever become the number one guy in that division. He lost, I thought, like 9-10 rounds to Ward, and I think Klitschko and Wilder are better wins than any of his top 2 wins. It's just
Wait, hold on, man. So you're saying that his win over Jermaine Taylor is not better than either Klitschko or Wilder?
I don't think
no. I think he's talking about just the size of the resume that Klitschko had is what I think.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm talking about the win at the time he fought Klitschko, and at the time.
Froch. Look, man, Froch gets a lot of the same criticism that a lot of fighters that have a big mouth does, but Froch does that because he knows, like Fury, like Ali, like all the greats that sell, that he's going to get people to show up regardless because they want to either see him win or lose.
I agree with that. I agree with that assessment, but I will say though, at least Carl Froch talks and he most of the time backs it up. That's what you got to respect about that. He backs it up.
Here's the one problem Carl Froch will have, and this will support what Hamid is saying. He's never ever been the man in that division.
Yeah,
that's where Calzaghe has been the man.
Hatton, even DVD.
Ward. No, we're talking about again.
Okay. Yeah, you can talk about being a man.
We're talking about super middleweight. We're talking about super middleweight, Hamid. Like Roy Jones, he was the man, right?
Yeah.
Stevie Little was the man at super middleweight would beat Michael Nunn. Did that make him better than Carl Froch?
Well,
Okay.
but that's the thing. But that's the way the lineal. Again, it's not. It is a knock actually, but
It
That's
is. I mean, Stevie
it's
Little. Stevie
about
Little.
did you beat the man who beat the man?
Yeah, but does that make him better than
here's
Carl Froch? Stevie Little.
Dan,
Does that make him
we're
better than
not
Carl
talking.
Froch?
But Dan, we're comparing him to guys like Andre Ward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comparing him to
Fair
guys
enough.
like Joe Calzaghe.
hmm
We're comparing
They're-
him to guys like Roy Jones.
They're
Let's
not
rank
the
the
same
best,
prestige, is what I'm
let's
trying to
rank
say.
let's rank the best super middleweights of all time.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm gonna say Andre Ward is number one, which
Andre
that's
Arguably.
Ward,
debatable.
for sure.
Kazagi award.
That's debatable. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say Joe Calzaghe is number two, right?
I'd have it reverse. Yeah.
You know who my number three is? This is gonna
Carl
Tommy
Froch.
Lundgren.
This is gonna shock a lot of people.
I'd say Roy Jones, man.
No, well,
No.
you could say that. I'm saying Chris Eubank. He's my
Chris
number.
Eubank?
Nigel Benn.
Ooh.
Guess who my number four is?
Nigel Benn or Roy Jones?
Nigel Benn is my number four, right?
hmm
Roy Jones is my number five.
I mean,
Roy
that's
Jones.
fair.
Wow.
That's fair. Maybe that
Mm.
the order.
In totality, I can see why you have Roy Jones as number 5.
Roy Jones
Just-
beat one
yeah.
one guy at super middleweight. In my
Exactly.
That was James
That,
Toney.
that
That was
win, that win,
that's
I
James
think is better
Toney.
than pretty much anyone has
No.
any other victory at super middleweight from any other fighter.
That's
Maybe
that's no way.
James
Yes,
Toney
it
was
is.
pound
Well,
for
I mean,
pound.
the best super. Well, he wasn't super middle. I was
You
thinking
see
of.
the fights Chris Eubank had?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
though, man.
but who
Chris
did he beat
Eubank-
that was better than James Toney, though? That's what Ahmed is
Toney.
arguing. Yeah, who did
Mhm.
Chris Eubank beat that was better than James Toney?
James Toney, yeah, that's what.
He knocked out
Yeah.
Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank.
Yeah, he
That
knocked
was
out
at
Nigel
middleweight.
Benn.
That was at middleweight.
That was
I
a middle
apologize.
rematch.
That's
Was a
right.
super mid. That was a
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was not the middleweight fight.
I thought Chris Eubank beat Nigel Benn, but officially, I would say Chris Eubank's resume at 168 was a lot better than Roy
Well,
Jones'.
but Eubank admitted the Ben rematch he lost, so and that was a draw as well. He didn't.
He didn't
win
tell
the
me.
fight.
He didn't tell me that.
No,
Well, he told
His
you-
record
you
doesn't
told-
reflect that either. No, I'm kidding.
well, I mean, I agree, but he didn't win the fight. Neither did Nigel Benn as well. It was a draw, so like
It was a draw.
That could work. That could work both ways, but that was the same with Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns.
Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns. Yeah, absolutely. That's a
Ray
good
Leonard.
You don't
comparison.
like he fought Michael Watson, right? That's a
Mhm.
great fight.
That was
right
a
there.
good win.
Yeah, middleweight fight. Yeah, that was at middleweight, not a super middleweight.
Lyndall Holmes as a former champion.
Yeah,
Graciano Rashichetti, another former champion, right?
yeah.
Steve
That
Collins.
German.
Steve Collins. That's a great
Yeah,
fight.
Steve Collins.
But he
Yep.
lost
He
that fight.
got robbed in it. But the
And
thing
he
is,
actually he actually fought Joe Calzaghe, right?
Right.
I agree with what you're saying in terms of like he fought virtually all of those guys, especially in the UK and Ireland. But I thought Nigel Benn's wins over McClellan and Barkley were very impressive. Like you could make
Yeah.
a very good case. Ben may have been the top 3. Like after
You could argue you could put Ben ahead of Eubank if you wanted to. I think both Eubank and Ben are ahead of Roy Jones based off of resumes.
I could see that.
But
Like,
here's
'cause
the
Roy
argument.
Jones had
Here's
one
the
fight.
argument for Roy Jones. Here's the argument for Roy Jones. He was undisputed at 168. No, was he ever undisputed?
No, he wasn't. No, he was
No, he wasn't
175.
undisputed.
Well, I'm sorry, 175. So he was never undisputed at 168. That's I apologize. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Roy Jones only won one belt there. That was it. He only won the IBF, and he moved up. He after after the Asiento fight.
Did he? Did,
Yeah.
did,
Undisputed in totality to me, and this is why I criticize Fury. Undisputed to me means something. It's not
Yeah,
just
it doesn't
it
mean
means
much.
something.
That
I know it doesn't mean much as far as money, but like to purists, to fans, to
lineal means more to me
Yeah.
because that's sometimes when I say Roy Jones is undisputed at super middleweight.
yeah.
I mean I should have said lineal because he was the man. He beat the man who was the man.
Yeah. Well, let me ask y'all this. Let me ask y'all this because I quiz a lot of people this question about the lineal. I mean, look, lineal is something, but you have to make something out of that title run, just like you have to do with the alphabet belts. But does anyone know? Any of you guys know who was the lineal light heavyweight champion from 2004 to 2009? Does anyone know?
Hungarian guy in his Zoltan something.
Yeah, I'm asking these guys. Do they know? Yeah, I know Hamed knows, but do you guys know Beeb and Slide?
2004 to 2000.
Didn't he die?
No, he's still alive.
Steve, I forget his name, but
2004 to 2009. Who was the lineal champion? Was it Antonio Tarver?
No, he wasn't. He was the ring belt champion.
Oh, Hopkins.
No, he wasn't.
It was some guy from Europe. But anyway,
I would have said. Oh, was it who was that fucking guy? The Darius? No, Darius.
No, not him. He lost the title.
Not
He
Chesky.
lost the title. Gianfranco Rashachetti.
Nope, not him.
I would
There
have
you guys.
said, in my opinion, I would have said Tarver was. But
No, he
go ahead.
wasn't though. But it was
I
so
thought it
early.
was Tarver.
His name was Zol Erdy. He beat Julio Cesar Gonzalez, the same guy who beat Brzezinski in a disputed fight, though. But anyhow, the reason why I bring this up, guys, is because that linealship was like held hostage over in Europe, while Tarver, Hopkins, and those guys and Chad Dawson were, at that point before he became lineal. At one point, they were fighting for that ring belt. So my point that I'm trying to make is that we gotta stop being so fixated with that linealship. Yeah, you beat the man, but you gotta make something out of that. I mean, because no one that's the
heard
reason
that
why it's a
argument.
question.
People
Yeah,
kind of
no
hold the
one-
lineal hostage. I get it.
Well,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
can
nobody.
make- you can
Yeah,
make
that's why
an
my point
argument-
is that hold on, be real quickly. My point is that the linealship, yes, it means something, but you have to treat it as if it's like an alphabet belt because you got to make that title run mean something. Because there's been many great fighters who never won lineal titles, but they all turned out to be great fighters, after their careers are done. So there's many of them.
I agree with
But,
that,
but here's the thing too, Dan. Here's the thing too. When you talk about lineal, technically, the way you explained it is correct. That's what lineal truly is.
Yeah.
But there are times when you look at the general consensus of what people perceive. Like, for instance, the lineage was broken when Lennox Lewis retired.
Yeah.
But because of public perception and what the majority of people believe to be the lineal guy, right? It ended up being Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
he did.
He beat Povetkin and
In technical terms, Dan, you're 100% correct. But sometimes lineal can mean the public perception of who the man in the division is.
Exactly. It's kind of like when Mike
Perception
Tyson,
is
Michael
reality.
Spinks. Yeah, like Mike Tyson, Michael Spinks. I mean, when he became
like when you take everyone's personal opinion out of it, not personal opinion, excuse me, personal feelings out of it. When everyone takes their emotion out of it, if I was to strap everyone up to a lie detector machine, like a polygraph machine, and I asked them who the best heavyweight in the world was right now, everyone would say Tyson Fury.
Yeah, at the moment.
But Dan, this is my thing,
as much as you hate to admit it, Dan, you believe it.
Well, right now, I mean, if that some people believe that, yeah, but there's still a dispute there because you have Alexander Usyk, then you have Tyson Fury, two undefeated heavyweights right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's you want to talk about power struggle? There's a struggle between who's number one. Now, if you feel Fury's number one, Usyk has 3 of the 4 belts, and he has a ring
He's
belt
got the
too.
hardware. For sure.
Yes.
But would you agree? Would you agree? The majority of people would say Tyson Fury is the best.
I agree that they would say he is the number one heavyweight at the moment. That's fine. You can make an argument there.
But two things could be true. Two things could be true at the same time, Dan. Because this is what I'll say. I would argue that maybe. I would argue that maybe it's like, I don't know, what, 70-30, 65-35 in Fury's favor of who's the better fighter.
Well, let me ask you this too, Muhammad. What Muhammad was going to bring up, though, Muhammad just brought up a good point. Would he still be the number one heavyweight after the Ngannou fight?
Yeah, is Ngannou now the lineal champion?
Yeah,
it depends on who Usyk fights, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's a good point, and I made that point because if Ngannou does beat Fury, technically, it does make him the lineal. Technically.
Well, that's not Muhammad's question, though. Muhammad's question is, would Ngannou be the number one heavyweight? Should he beat Tyson Fury?
That's a catch-22 there.
Yeah, exactly. See, there we go. We're talking about this lineal argument. We got to be careful here. We're treading waters.
Here's the answer to the question. He will get the designation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you believe that he could beat Usyk.
He'll get the designation, but do you as a fan or the critics, he will not be the number? Okay, thank you. That's all we're asking.
I mean, technically right now, John Jones is not the
Can I
undisputed
tell you?
heavyweight
Can I tell you
champion.
something? Can I tell you something else, Dan?
Uh-huh.
Devin Haney, in my opinion, he's the undisputed champion at lightweight,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
I think both Tank and Shakur would beat him.
Yeah, I agree. I think
possible.
I think
That's
Shakur
possible.
definitely beat him. It's
Hey,
possible.
real quick before I forget this, I forgot to ask. I was going to ask you this shit, Joe. Isn't Tank getting elevated to super?
What?
No,
No, not for
I heard that.
WBC.
Not
WBA.
WBC. I'm talking about WBC.
Tiafimo Lopez is.
No. He's
I'm
talking about
talking about at
lightweight. He's talking about
135.
Lightweight.
Yeah, lightweight.
He's right.
I have not
I
heard
keep-
that.
I keep hearing that everywhere.
Devin
that he's
Haney vacated all the belts. He's right because the IBF now I see it. They're gonna make.
he's still technically the
title.
WBC in recess.
Yeah, but the rest of the belts are gonna go up because the IBF are gonna put up the belt. I think for for Lomachenko and Kambosos and
Kambosos, I heard that
and
too.
Javante is gonna be elevated as the WBA.
I can see. It's not official yet, but I can see all those other titles becoming
Yeah.
vacant.
I mean, the
people-
Yeah, it
WBA has
will.
proven time and time again that they only give a fuck about money.
Yeah, he's gonna fight pro
Yeah.
Grey, isn't he? But the thing with the Ngannou situation, this is what I was gonna say. Ngannou will be the quote unquote lineal in some people's eyes, but Usyk still has the ring belt. That's where I think there will be a bit of a disagreement
Yeah.
because Usyk
Yeah, but
will
you
have
know-
all the belts.
You know why
And
Usyk has the
Ngannou-
ring belt? You know why Usyk has the ring belt?
I
Fury
know why.
vacated
When
it.
Fury retired, he said he retired.
He's retired, and they stripped him.
Fury, you know what Fury
they-
said to them? This is what
Yeah.
Dougie Fisher said. Fury contacted him and told him to vacate the title. You know why?
Why?
Because
I saw this too.
Fury wants to be the only guy to be the two-time ring heavyweight champion.
That's not
Three
well.
times,
That's a
three
lie if
times,
that's
three
that's the
times.
case. Because first of all,
3 times,
there's been
you're right.
many two-time lineal heavyweight champions.
times,
No, ring, two-time ring.
Ring.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali did it twice. Well, so
3 times,
where
you
we
went-
go? Yeah, he did it 3 times. Where are we going at this?
No, Dan, you're missing the point. Fury wants to become 3-time. Beeb missed, what's it called? Misquoted what Dougie
Oh,
Fisher
3-time. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Ring
3 times.
magazine. Yeah, Muhammad Ali was a 3-time Ring magazine
he
champion.
wasn't. Well, Ali
He was 2-time.
No, he was 3-time. No, he was 3-time. He beat
No.
Sonny Liston.
He got
Hold up.
undisputed 3 times. He
No,
won
he
it
beat Sonny
back.
Liston. Wait, hold up, y'all. He beat Sonny Liston for that title. He beat George Foreman for that title the second time. Then he beat Leon Spinks in the rematch 3 times. He did
Was it
it.
for the ring or was it?
Yes, it was for the ring.
I don't.
It was for the ring.
Wasn't one of those fights? I don't know if I'm right here. So if I'm wrong, tell me. But wasn't one of those fights somebody had the WBC or Ali had the WBC and somebody else had the WBA?
Frazier.
I'm pretty-
Here's
Ali,
the
Frazier
ring
Ali
article.
and Frazier.
Here's
No,
the
and
ring.
Ali versus
Here's-
Terrell. Versus
Here's
Terrell.
the
That
ring.
was what
Here's the
unification
ring.
bout.
Okay.
Here's the ring article.
Go ahead, Joe.
Let me see if I could find it. All right.
I thought I always thought Ali was a 3-time undisputed. Is what.
No, he was, but he was also 3-time Ring magazine champion. He did that 3 times.
Dan, I don't know. I can't say if you're right or wrong because I honestly.
I know I'm right. Trust me. But go ahead.
I saw
know,
that
right.
video. Well, the Ring magazine did a video with Fury, and they were going through all the heavyweight champions, the Ring magazine heavyweight champions, and he said something like that. I just can't.
Yeah, well, they
remember it off the
definitely
top
missed
of
the
my
fact that
head.
Ali was a 3-time Ring magazine heavyweight champion. The only guy
And
to do
real
that in
quick,
history.
Fury loves, like, I don't know why people think that. He absolutely loves Ali and respects Ali. Every time, every old champion. He said, if I thought Mike Tyson, he'd knock me out in 30 seconds. He
Yeah.
would never disrespect them. Usyk, on the other hand, that's different. But I mean, he's always spoken. He always defends the old timers, and I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
so it is kind of funny for him to say that I'm vacating this belt because I want to become the only heavyweight to win it 3 times. Yeah, well, he lied about that because he isn't going to be the only one that did it. If he does it, he'll be the second heavyweight to do it.
I'm trying to remember that video, but I know what you're talking about. He said, like,
Yeah.
he said, I know that if I vacate it and get it, some shit, I can't.
Yeah, he did it. You know, he said it in the video with an interview with True Geordie, I believe. I think that's what he said that. And I wish True Geordie would have corrected him on it.
That was the trilogy. You're talking about the trilogy. That was Fury wrong on that, but I think the ring one he might have been right. I'd have
Yeah,
to check.
yeah. I mean, he said, I think this was True Jordy. I wish True Jordy would have
Can't
corrected him
Google it
on
because
that.
I'm on my phone, but
It's all good. I
I,
wish True
I would have
Jordy
to
would have
leave the
corrected him
thing.
on
That's
that.
why.
No worries, man. No
He
worries.
should have
Yeah,
been
like,
corrected for sure. Because if
yeah,
Ali's a 3-time ring, then and I'm pretty sure I believe you, then yeah, he's definitely
Well,
definitely wrong about that.
he's the only person to do it this era.
well, yeah, but
That
at the
makes
same time,
sense.
you see, you moving the goalposts on that one, B. Come on, man.
We always move the goalposts. That's what life
Yeah,
is. We
but
always
the
move.
point is that we
Life,
caught him
Welcome to
on a
debate.
lie that he just made.
life is all about moving goalposts. When I get a ticket, I move the goalposts. When I get a
You
ticket,
cornered him. What is he supposed to do? No.
I always move the goalposts.
Yeah,
There's
I
nothing
am.
wrong with that. I'm just
Beeb, you
saying
need
though.
to
And
Beeb,
this
you
is
need to
where I got a problem with that. Don't rewrite history because people are going to call you out on that like I do.
Did,
Don't do
did he
that.
really? Did he really win the ring title 3 times though? Dan Muhammad Ali? Did he
He
really do it?
did. Yeah, he did.
I don't know if he did. I don't
Beat
know. I
Sonny.
definitely
Well, I'll go through it
Fight
again. He
doctor.
beat Sonny Liston.
Fight
Yeah,
doctor.
White Doctor knows it. Yeah, he knows it.
Fight doctor says it's true. I believe him.
Yeah,
I never.
he beat Sonny. I'll say it again. He beat Sonny Liston. That was the first reign. He beat George Foreman, a fight that another fight nobody thought he could win. He beat George Foreman for that title. Then he came back and beat Leon Spinks in the rematch for that title. He did. That's 3 times.
I believe.
So
him.
yeah. All right. So yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, but look, if Ngannou won and it was for the WBC title, there would be a bit more, I think, of a credible argument. Because
yeah.
it's like a non-title fight, and Usyk has also got the ring belt and all the other belts. I'm not justifying that because I don't think it should
Oh,
have
now
been.
I have it. I have it, Dan. I
Uh-huh.
have it.
All
Dating
right.
back from 1922. I gotta say.
Dating
Muhammad
back to
Ali.
19.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali had it the first time in 1970. Oh
Yeah.
wow, Dan! In 1974 and 1978, Muhammad Ali had it.
Yep.
Wow.
Who did he
times.
win it? 1970 was not. Was it list? It wasn't listed.
No, that was 1964. He
Yeah,
beat
he
beat
had
Liston
it.
for that title.
Wow, Dan, he had it 3 times. Dan is always right when it comes to some of these
Also,
things.
he's gonna equal it, but that's not really.
He's
Then
going to
that's
equal him. He's going to be the only.
Yeah, but he went out and told everyone he's going to be the first. So now this is where people need to call him out on that. You're lying. You won't be the first. Ali did that before you did.
Ali
What are you talking about?
Yo, I got a
Floyd
feeling
Patterson did it twice.
Yeah, and Vander Holyfield did it twice too. So we all know. Yeah, come on, man.
Tyson Fury did it twice. So the only fighter to have ever done it is Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
So
Lennox, how many did Lennox?
Dan.
Yes, sir.
So what's wrong? What's wrong with him being tied with Muhammad Ali? Him being the only second person to do it?
There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't lie about it. That's my only problem.
Lennox Lewis only had it once.
Yeah, just don't con. My problem is don't con the fans and try to get them to believe you're the only guy fighter to do this, that, and the third, which is not true. That's my only problem. You're going to get caught out on that.
I don't think that fight's happening because the WBC now are saying Joshua and Wilder are gonna be fight. If they do fight, that's a different story. But
they're not going to mandate that fight
for the WBC mandatory position.
Yeah, they're not going to make that fight.
I got my reservations if that fight's even going to happen.
Yeah. Well, let's just say this: even if they order that fight, I don't think. Here's the thing: I think it's either more than likely. I'm inclined to believe that Joshua's team is not going to make that fight. Now, there's a possible chance that Team Wilder may walk out, but there's a high probability that Team Joshua is not going to want it if that fight gets mandated.
Dan, you know what I never asked you? You know what I never asked you before? I hate to just change the subject randomly. I apologize for interrupting.
It's all good, man. It's all good, man. What's up?
Would you ever come on that Thursday show that we do, the roundtable? Are you available on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time, or are you busy usually?
I'm very busy that day, man. Yeah, that's Thursday is one of my very busy times. I mean, I work out in the field. I'm actually a area district manager. So
you would be great on that show. You ever watch that show that we do on Thursdays?
Yeah, I do watch it from time to time, man. Yeah, I do catch up with you guys. So I'm honored to what you guys say. But yeah, you guys have a great platform. It's a great show. If I have time, I definitely want to come on there.
Yeah, Beeb, you gotta get Papoose on there.
Yeah. Oh, Papoose. I know disrespect to Papoose. I actually had to school him on Anthony Joshua situation. So on the zone figures.
He's wrong so many times, and he won't admit when you could sit there and prove him wrong.
Like Dan proved me wrong about Dan probably proved me wrong more times than I proved him wrong today. And I conceded, and I conceded every time. I'm 54. My memory's not the greatest. Dan's younger than me. He has the advantage. But I admit it when I'm wrong. This guy, you can show him facts, and he will still admit that you're wrong. It's called you can show him like, you could take a quote of someone literally saying something on video and play it back to him, and he'll come up with, oh no, that's not the real person, that's AI. He'll just make it like he'll never concede a point ever.
I know.
He kept saying it's a power structure. Like he was contradicting himself, and his points were not really even making sense. I got lost what he was even saying.
Yeah, I know. Look, like I said though, I've interacted with him a couple times, and no disrespect. It was cordial, but at the end of the day, man, like we all can do. If we're wrong, we're wrong. I'll tell you, yeah, you know what, you're right, B. But I even concede at some points. You're right, man. You're right. You got me there. It's nothing wrong being wrong, man. I know.
Dan, we get in heated debates, you and I. We scream and yell at each other, but we never really get personal. You know what I'm saying?
No, we don't get personal, nah,
we
bro.
go back a long way. We know this is like this is just fun to talk about, right? This
Yeah,
guy
absolutely.
gets mad at me. He gets all offended. This guy's crazy. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him? I mean, I'm not the most normal guy in the world. I admit I have some psychological issues, but I mean, this guy's fucking nuts, bro.
I know. Well, look, Papoose, if you're hearing this, man, look, no disrespect, bro, but at the same time, if you're going to debate, then you got to concede to some points, man. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all you have to do. But at the end of
The
the day,
guy was in the comment section just going on. Now that I've heard him, I don't know if there's any point really debating the guy, because Beeb had way more. What's the word? Patience. I don't know how you put up with that guy.
You thought I had patience? You didn't hear me screaming and yelling at him?
No, I did, but I don't even know if I would.
I was a fucking mess yesterday. That guy. This is what happens with me. I get triggered when if I show you something, right, and I just show it to you, and you still disagree with it after it's shown. Like Dan said 3 times I wasn't sure, but I believed him because he researched it and I didn't.
Yeah,
and I just said, yeah, you're right. But you know what that guy would have said? Oh yeah, but he did it 3 times. But one of the times.
But technically, he did it this way to make it 3 times. Like, oh,
one of the times it was vacant and it didn't really count. Like he looks for needles.
Yeah,
I'm concerned more with the haystack. I don't look for needles.
Yeah, it's kind of like remind me. It's kind of remind me when I had a debate with this cat one time, a long time ago. His was named. I don't know if you remember him, B. His name was Quentin, right? He was a big Floyd Mayweather fan. I remember one time I was in a chat. I was on Mr. Boxing Today channel. Shout out to Mr. Boxing Today, But he said that when Lloyd went out and said that I was the undisputed champion, and then he was, I don't know, it was Fight Hype that interviewed him. He said, no, technically all you have to do is have 3 of the 4 major 4 belts to become undisputed. And Quentin Cue Ball, that was his name. And I told Quentin, I was like, no, that's not true, bro. You have to have all 4 major belts to be considered the undisputed champion. He said, no. You technically you can, because back then the WBO wasn't recognized belt. Back then it was three belts. So today's era, you have to have 3 or 4 belts to become undisputed. I was like, since when? Just because Floyd said it? Where's your evidence of that?
Yeah, 2015 it was recognized. I think it's been recognized.
No, it was recognized in 2006.
But Floyd wasn't. Floyd, when he unified against Pacquiao in 2015, that was like over a decade since it was recognized.
From a technical standpoint, once again, Dan, I agree with you, but I've always had this argument that if you have all 4 belts, but you still haven't fought, like for me, and this is totally subjective. I look at undisputed as a designation. So even though Teofimo Lopez does not have all 4 belts at 140, I consider him the undisputed champ by my designation. But technically, if you're speaking, from a technical standpoint of having the four belts, he's not an undisputed titleist. No,
I consider him the undisputed champion because I don't dispute his claim to being number one. But I'm not trying to split hairs here. But to me, I just look at the guy who beats the guy. Like, I guess technically I could say he's lineal, right? But
Right.
I think BB,
the guy who's lineal, the guy who's lineal to
me.
me, I don't dispute him as being the man. In other words,
I lightweight, he had all the belts after he beat Lomachenko, except I think he was awarded the WBC franchise designation. I would agree with that. Like, I could see a lightweight there was a bit of corruption with the sanctioning bodies, but as super lightweight, I don't know if I could say that because I thought Josh Taylor got a gift against Catterall, and then by the time they fought, it was virtually just for the lineal and WBO title.
WBO.
Yes. I don't know, like, because I don't know if he beats guys like Progrig, and I don't know if he beats the other guys, and he only got one alphabet title. So I get what you're saying, but I kind of disagree. At 140, I think he's
no, it's open. It's again, it's open for debate. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say what I believe, it is opinion. It's not etched in stone. It's
undisputed
debatable.
means no dispute in it. That's a fact. Like when
But
you're
here's
undisputed,
but here's the thing. If like so technically on a wide broad spectrum, no, he's not undisputed. Right? But
Yeah.
I don't dispute him. So in my viewpoint, he's the man at 140. I don't dispute him.
You said something yesterday which was true and I think untrue at the same time.
Go ahead.
Technically, if you get the all four belts, you are technically undisputed.
Agreed.
But look at when Pacquiao fought Hatton. Hatton had the IBF and IBO and ring lineal championship, but the IBF didn't sanction that Pacquiao. So Pacquiao beats him and he becomes the lineal and IBO champion.
Did Pacquiao,
if someone was to collect,
didn't he have the IBF? Did he ever have the IBF? He only had the IBO.
Yeah, he only had the IBO. He beat Malignaggi for that title, I believe, for the IBO title.
And then the IBF didn't sanction that fight, and he only had the IBO to defend against Pacquiao with the ring belt. But if someone was to come and collect all the other sanctioned bodies, although they would have been technically undisputed in the four belt era, they weren't really the lineal ring champion, even though the IBO really doesn't count. There still would have been a dispute of who is actual the number one guy because
let's let Fight Doctor come in. I don't want to put him on hold too long because he's always got great insight. Go ahead. I know you respect lineal over everything, so go ahead and burn. I'll let you go.
Yeah, what's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing?
What's going on, Fight Doctor?
Doing well. So I just wanted to chime in on basically the uselessness of the undisputed designation. So in 2023, you now require 4 major belts in order to be undisputed. 25 years ago or so, there was only 3 belts. And then sometime period before that, it was only 2, the early 80s, because there was no IBF.
Right.
So the goalposts have shifted over the years, right? And, we need to ask the question, well, why does it require 4 belts to be undisputed? And if you look at the trend, at some point in the future, I can't say when exactly, but at some point, if we follow the current trend, it'll be 5 belts.
Yeah.
And then
the IBL might be coming in. Yeah.
Exactly. So then the goalposts will shift even further, making the designation of being undisputed, in my mind, even more meaningless than what it is today. And the question needs to be asked, when and how and why did these sanctioning organizations become so important? I mean, think about it. Why do we need the WBC and the WBA and the IBF and the WBO? What function do they serve, at least in terms of boxing history and lore and determining who is the best in any given division? What purpose do they serve? Because from what I can see, they prohibit and inhibit boxing, the various weight classes, sorting out who is the best fighter. Between the sanctioning organizations and the TV networks, they impose more confusion on the sport than they do solutions.
Yeah,
So
yeah, Fight Doctor, I agree with you with your points there because I honestly believe that we need to scrap all the sanctioned bodies and just have one division, one champion. In my opinion, that's the lineal champion, the Royal Ring Magazine being whatever you want to call it. Just have one champion because I think that would persuade other fighters to fight each other to get to that position. But the problem is, I think it goes all the way back to the Reconstruction days. Is the mob? I think the mob was solely the reason why we have these sanctioning organizations right now because they could facilitate how we want boxing ran. They could pour money into these organizations. This is my belief. I think the mob many years ago has poured money into these organizations, got them to do their bidding, to rank certain fighters, get them into position to fight for certain titles, and then they eventually can go for the for that linealship because it's like a gradual step for them to make money on them in the long run. So I think that's just a scheme, in my opinion, to have these sanctuary bodies put in place just for the mob to facilitate their money through boxing, in my opinion. So, yeah, but unfortunately, the sanctioned body has gotten so powerful. It more powerful become the more corrupt they got. The more corrupt they got, the more money they got. So that's the reason why we're in the position we're in right now. And to your point, I'm afraid that IBO will be considered a recognized belt in the foreseeable future. So, yeah.
It's funny too because if you're Teofimo Lopez and you want to be undisputed, right? You got to beat Rolly Romero that has a WBA belt. So this is where it gets kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
well,
funny.
it's been sketchy for some years now, but I just think that the hardcore fan base gives way too much credibility to this idea of being undisputed.
Yeah.
You
I kind of don't care about it. It's to me, I've lost a lot of interest in it because it just seems like it's too cumbersome and arduous of a process. Let me give Sly a shout out. He could fight all the super chats. Shout out to the panel. Great discussion. I'm sub to everyone, even Dan. Says, can we talk about Wilder being right about White being a lifelong cheat? Yeah,
I mean,
it's not
hey,
a
shout
good.
out to Sly.
It's not really a good look.
Look,
No, I
I'll tell
mean,
you what.
Dillian's got caught 3 times. So, and goes back to our second point, that second drug test. We still ain't got that B sample. So what? Yeah. So what's going on with that situation with Oscar
Yeah.
Rivas? And that's why I always say that fight with Oscar Rivas, I don't give Dillian no credit for that win. I'm sorry. No one can convince me otherwise. He doesn't get credit in my book for that win. But go ahead.
I didn't think he looked great in that fight anyways. I thought that fight was closer than people scored it.
I agree. I agree. I thought it was a close fight, but the fact that the fight was tainted not only with the drug scandal, but I think the gloves was also a more important factor. Yeah, they allowed this guy to wear gloves that weren't even priorly inspected by both camps, and I thought that was shady. I was like, "What in the world? How could they allow that?"
There's a lot of shade in boxing. So a few years ago, and I personally think Paulo Malignaggi is an idiot where some things are concerned, but his insight in boxing can't be denied. And he made a video a few years back talking about the PED use in boxing.
Right.
And he said something to the effect of, if you look at the top 10 in any given division at any given time, at least 7 out of the top 10 are on PEDs. He said, just pick a division. Doesn't matter. Whichever division. And 7 out of the top 10 guys are probably on PEDs. Reason being is that because the guys who are, below the top 10 or top 15 are looking up and saying to themselves, well, these guys are all cheating. And the only way that I can compete with these guys is if I do what they do. So they have this. So there's the incentive to use PEDs because, well, the guys above you are using them. And the only way you can compete with those guys is if you are in Rome and you do as the Romans do, essentially.
Yeah, that's true. And here's the thing, too. Everyone talks about VADA, the clean boxing program. And according to what I've read, the WBC puts $10,000 a month into the drug testing, the clean drug testing program, and there's some people that are signed up to that clean boxing program that haven't even been tested. So I know everyone talks about, we got to do this, we got to do that, but it's just there's no follow through, and I'm not a big PED guy. Like I'm not this guy that gets on the soapbox. Oh, we're going to test this guy, we're going to test that guy. But, I just think there's a lot of virtue signaling going on when it comes to that whole topic. And people say they really care about the safety of the fighters, but do they really? I mean, we talk about fighters, a lot of times when fighters are getting beat up badly in a fight or they get badly injured and they're losing the fight. Oh, and then they decide that they're hurt to the point where they can no longer continue, or they don't want to continue to damage themselves because they want to be able to continue to preserve their body so they can fight on later in another fight. And everyone's, oh, well, he should go out on his shield. So this whole thing about fighter safety and people caring about fighters, that's a bunch of shit. To me, that's a lot of virtue signal, in my opinion. I just think fans like to virtue signal. People like to say things that make themselves feel good or sound important or sound smart. I don't think anyone really cares about drug testing as much as they say they do. That's just my 2 cents.
No, they don't. I think most of the time, again, call me a conspiracy theorist all you want to. I think most of these results that come back, I think they're being swept under the rug. I think most of these fighters are getting popped every single time. They're just being careful and selective who they choose to what results they want to disclose. I'm just being honest. I think that's what's going on. Like I said, the WBA, VADA, they even said themselves they don't make the announcements. They send it over to all the parties involved, the sanctioning bodies or the promoters, and they have to make a decision whether they want to disclose this information or not. So, for the most part, I think most of it gets swept under the rug. Only select few fighters are the ones who are getting caught, are the ones that are being outed. So, but speaking of this point, I know Matchroom's got a crisis right now. They have to get the lid on it. Again, Eddie Hearn, it's not his fault. He can't instruct fighters to what to take, what not to take. But at the end of the day, it is your promotion, and it is looking bad that every single fighter, and yet, a lot of your fighters, especially some marquee fighters, are getting popped. So you got to get that under control for the most part. But yeah, real quickly though, I know I'm about to go before I want to make one point. On the Fight Doctor, I know Beeb and I had said something about this, but I want to ask your opinion. Do you guys, well, you could chime in again maybe you want, but do you think that the Wilder and Joshua fight is going to get mandated by the WBA? I mean, the WBC. If so, do you think that fight's going to go ahead?
Well, so here's the deal, right? I think that the WBC is going to go in whichever direction means the most money. So if that means mandating the fight between Joshua and Wilder and stripping Tyson Fury, then that's what they'll do. But if Fury and Joshua can reasonably get made, then I see no reason why the WBC would stand in the way of that fight. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Has Wilder been named the mandatory?
Well, the mandatory has not been officially ordered yet. So
right.
The eliminator has not been officially ordered yet either. So by positioning people into these slots and saying what can be done, what may be done, isn't nothing if it's not officially ordered. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
yeah,
I don't think they're going to order the fight.
Yeah, probably not. I think the WBC will probably just wait and see what happens and who Fury wants to fight next. And if Fury Joshua can get made, then I fully expect the WBC will sanction that fight. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you?
It's the bigger fight. It's the biggest fight, I think.
Yeah, it's probably a bigger fight than Fury than Joshua Wilder. It's certainly more significant than Joshua Wilder. And then, above and beyond that, that fight does not prevent Joshua and Wilder from happening in the future. And maybe the WBC can possibly find themselves involved in that fight, right? So yeah, I think that the WBC is probably not going to strip Tyson Fury. I mean, look at Jamal Charlo. Okay, Jamal Charlo has not fought in 2 years, and he's still
almost 3 years now.
He's still the WBC champion.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
When is the last time Canelo has fought a mandatory for the WBC at 168?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's like 2-3 years. 2
Yeah,
years now. 3 years.
You know, and you know, looking at that 168-pound division, that even further in my mind underscores the absolute meaningless of the undisputed designation, because you have a guy in Canelo Alvarez who's parading around with a belt that used to belong to his number one contender, a guy who he refuses to fight. Right? So
Yeah.
I look, I'm going to give him credit for being lineal at 168, but it's very hollow in my mind until he beats David Benavidez. It's very hollow. But this undisputed business, it means nothing. David Benavidez never lost that title, that WBC title in the ring. Okay? That's just a fact. And Alvarez has not yet beat him. So his undisputed designation in my mind it's shallow. Okay? It's shallow.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right, Fight Doctor. We've been live for about 3 hours, man. We covered a lot of shit, but probably gonna cut out, man. Thanks for jumping on. I always appreciate your insight, man. We'll catch up later, man.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on, and appreciate it.
No problem. I'll talk to you later, bro.
Right,
Go on.
peace.